Hello and welcome back to the Gfinity European Pro League. My name is Chris Trout, joined by Inc. once again for Season 2. It's been a little while, but we're back with more Call of Duty action. Inc., how have you been doing, my friend?
Not too bad. It's just kind of missing the EU Pro League. I mean, it's just that time of year where you're not really doing much. It's the summer. You just want to sit down, chill out, watch a little bit of Call of Duty, and yeah, I'm pretty happy to see it back, to be honest with you. Yeah, definitely, especially with the roster changes.
Oh, there's been some major roster changes that we'll get into once the games are underway. But first of all, let's take a look at the prize pool and overview, just to give you a few insights as to what we're going to be doing during this Pro League. It's the same as it was last year. If you weren't last season, if you weren't here for last season, we've got 8 of Europe's best teams. Obviously, we've got 2 new teams involved in this, considering they were promoted from last season from the Championship. We unfortunately have to say goodbye to Gamers 2 and Overgaming Club, but they are replaced by IGI and Spirit Gaming. The teams will be playing 7 games in a season. We've also got another session of games on tomorrow night for this first week of games. The league format is going to be a sort of a best of 6 that we've dubbed the Super 6 series, in which you can actually draw the overall series, and all 6 maps will be played out. And there'll be there'll be 3 game modes, and you'll get to see those game modes twice in the Super 6. You get 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, none for a loss, and the bottom 2 teams will be relegated. I believe this is the last season of the Pro League, so no one will actually be getting relegated in that sense. But again, same prize pool, 7,000 for first, 3,000 for second, and so on and so on. Yep. It's going to be huge. Obviously, last season we saw Vitality take it. Big roster changes, so we might not see Vitality actually take it this season.
Well, obviously, Vitality, they made, well, I wouldn't say a questionable decision, but they got rid of a winning formula from Season 1. They decided to pick up 2 players from Infused who were absolutely ridiculous at the Gfinity 100k, which I'm sure most of you on the stream did watch, picking up Urban and LXT and dropping Watson and Josh, if I'm not mistaken. So, big changes on that front. However, it'll be interesting to see how that new roster clicks, but they're not the only team that have made significant changes.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at those teams that are going to be involved in this season. We have got Vitality, Millenium, HyperGames, VWS, Epsilon, Infused joining us for the second season. As I said before, IGI Esports and Spirit Gaming are going to be coming up from the Championship. So there's a lot of familiar faces that are going to be in there, but obviously on different teams this season. We've got a lot of fixtures coming up over the next few weeks. This is a little bit, it's going to be the same length of a season. However, it's going to be condensed over the next few weeks. So let's take a look at the first lot of fixtures that we're going to be seeing in this season. So tonight we've got IGI Esports against Team Infused, Vitality versus Spirit Gaming, Epsilon Esports versus VWS, and HyperGames versus Millenium. We're actually going to be watching HyperGames versus Millenium tonight, and me and you, we always seem to do predictions on what we think is actually going to be happening in the actual game week for this week. So let's have a little look at how we've been doing it. Let's take a look at my predictions and see what we're going to be looking at. So I've gone with a 5-1 over IGI Esports in the favour of Infused. I don't think IGI are quite going to have the team. We saw them at the 100k event a couple of weeks ago, and they weren't really anything of note, and I don't think it's really going to change. I still think, even with the changes that Infused have gone under, obviously picking up the likes of Josh, they've picked up Marky B and some other guys. I think that's still going to be a formidable partnership online. They're very, very good, so I'm expecting them to walk away with that. And for the rest, I've gone 6-0. Vitality, as you said, incredible team, especially online. Spirit Gaming, not really got much to contest for. Epsilon, although they've also gone under changes, still an incredible team. I don't expect VWS to really bring anything because they haven't really made any changes. I don't expect them to change overnight. And once again, Millenium, with that incredible change that we saw early on today that was announced, I just don't see HyperGames doing it. They've actually had to replace, I believe it was, who was it? They had to make a substitute because one of their players is on holiday. So we've actually got Riskin filling in tonight in the HyperGames team. So I've gone for 6-0. So walk me through your predictions.
Now, I haven't been as pessimistic as you with some of the teams. I think some of the teams have got a fighting chance. So Infused, I have gone for a victory up against IGI. Obviously, IGI have only just been promoted, I think. Going up against Team Infused week 1, I think it will prove a little bit too much, but I think they're going to be they'll come out hungry, determined to actually make an impact. And Team Infused, last-minute roster changes. They submitted 6 players for their overall roster for this. They're going to be changing it every week, is what I'm reading, and that doesn't fill me with a hell of a lot of confidence. So I think as they're a brand new 4, essentially. Obviously, the duo, Marky being quicker, they're still in there, and those are the key players for me. But I think they'll just take it, but I think it'll be a little bit closer. Vitality, Spirit Gaming. I think Vitality, LXT and Urban, great players online, and obviously great players at LAN as well, what we saw with 100k. So 6-0 for that. Epsilon, VWS. Now, Epsilon, brand new roster again, picking up a very unknown player in the form of Zero. So I think the first week may just show, a few rusty areas, so to speak. Obviously, they've got the likes of Swanee and Shane, etc., so they're very, very experienced. But I think maybe a few teething problems on week 1, so they might drop one map. Plus VWS, they finished off last season in very strong fashion. Then HyperGames, Millennium. Millennium with their new roster, in my view, can challenge for this title. And HyperGames, the reason I've said they can pick up 2 maps is this is online. We saw HyperGames beat Vitality last season. We talk about it an awful lot, but that's for a reason. Connection, maybe, arguably. Obviously, there is a French and English difference, and obviously this new French team, apart from Gataga, is based in the UK. Obviously, you've got Madcat, Joe, then you've got Rated, then Gataga. So Gataga's obviously the French player there, so maybe a couple issues on that front. Obviously, having French and English players on the same team, but I expect HyperGames to pick up at least a map, so we'll see.
So those are our predictions. Make sure you get involved on all the social media platforms. You can use the hashtag on Twitter, EU Pro League, to let us know what your predictions are and get involved in anything EU Pro League related. Obviously, at the end of the entire thing, we've got that closing out LAN event that we also had at the start of last season. But let's take a quick look at the maps and see what maps we're going to be doing here. So in Season 2, we thought it would be only fair to match up to our American counterparts that we bring in the DLC maps for this season. So tonight, you're going to see 2 brand new maps in full action. Now, me and you, we've admitted we're not too familiar with how the maps work. We're going to have to try and get into it. So it's a learning experience for as much as it is us as it is you at home. So Hardpoint Detroit is going to be our first map, followed by Hardpoint Compound, Uplink Comeback, Search and Destroy Recovery, Search and Destroy Skyrise, and Uplink Biolab. Yeah,
well, obviously, a Compound Hardpoint is the map to be excited for, in my view. Very, very small map, very fast-paced. I think we're going to see a lot of kills be dropped in that. I arguably expect to see at least one player drop a 50. Especially with the ASM1, if you can lock down that yellow area in mid-map, you can just exert such map control. So Compound Hardpoint is one to watch for me, but obviously Comeback Uplink as well. We all love it. It's arguably the best thing in Advanced Warfare 4 esports. Detroit Hardpoint, very solid start as well. I think it'll be really interesting to see which team takes the advantage on that front. Millennium did choose that map, though, so you'd expect them to be feeling pretty confident on it, but saying that, adding the DLC maps does spice things up just that little bit more.
I mean, it's been a long time coming. Every single Call of Duty that goes by, we seem to be talking about whether DLC should be involved or not, and there's been a lot of talk between the players, and usually they tend to shy away from it in previous Call of Duties. But I think with the fact that they've been implemented across the pond, it's almost acceptable to get involved with them in the EU Pro League scene. And I know that Worlds is at the end of the year, which I know some of the players are going to want to actually compete in them properly and be able to practice them against the other players, because those guys have been playing those new maps for quite a while now. Yeah, well, obviously at the 100k, we saw that the EU teams can compete up against the North American teams. The North American teams right now, they are a little bit ahead. Admittedly, I say a little bit. FaZe and Optic, pretty much untouchable at the moment. But if we want Europe to have the best possible chance at the likes of World, then we need to start adding in these DLC maps. We saw a few people tweet out at Gfinity saying, look, add in some DLC maps. We've listened, we've added them in, and I think it enables the EU teams to go to another level, and actually when they get to Worlds, they're kind of familiar with the maps. They're not going to go there and think, oh my god, we haven't had any practice on it apart from team scrims. We've had no competitive practice, so this enables them to do that, and it gives them the best possible chance at Worlds. Yeah, I mean, those maps that we've seen throughout the ages, like Recovery, Biolab, Detroit, they've been around for so long, and obviously it seems like the Americans are so much ahead of the game in terms of meta and how to play the maps and stuff like that. So it's nice to actually have something new and fresh that maybe they haven't got to grips with because it's not used as much. So, and the practice on it hasn't diversified as much because, those teams that they might be playing on those maps are only going to be the higher tier of teams, and the lower tier are not going to be getting on them. So it might not be so readily available to the practice. So these teams from Europe who have got that opportunity to come in with something unique and try it out themselves, it's not quite a level playing field, I would say, but the the playing field is a little bit more even. The fact that they've got something new to work with, and they have maybe a new map in their arsenal that they can bring out and take away points against the likes of FaZe and Optic.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that all works out. We're going to be getting into the game. As I said, Millennium's host, it is going to be Hardpoint on Detroit. I always love a bit of Hardpoint Detroit. I know you're a big fan of Hardpoint Detroit.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I just love how influential the anchors are on this map. You're going to see the AR dominance come out, particularly from Tony JS. He is my player to watch in this map. However, this is on the Millennium host, if I'm not mistaken. So that's who we're going to start on board with. Tony JS in this school window area. He's going to be just trying to wallbang this area, but he's not going to be able to pick up that kill. So it looks like he's just going to lock down school, and it's going to enable HyperGames to break that hill. But obviously, the first hill, you're not going to find out who wins and who loses this soon.
Absolutely. Tony JS just sitting in this corner right now. It is a bit of a risky opportunity going there. There's no one really holding down that school spawn right now, and he's pushed himself far too away from the garage. They still have to have slight control of it, so he's doing a good job of staying alive. He is going to get challenged by Madcat. Madcat sits him down right there. They still have control of this school spawn, however. Millennium not too rushing about looking to flip those spawns quite yet. They're just holding on to these points to get things off and running with. Obviously, we don't know how much practice they've had with Target in the team compared to who they used to team with, which was Reedy, as Millennium Madcat is on a 3-1 right now, just lying in this school, this middle hospital right now, as the hardpoint is going to go up. And it looks like none of the HyperGames team actually rotated for that hardpoint, as Madcat's going to push out the back. Is going to get cleaned up by one of his teammates. He's going back for the challenge as he knows they're starting to spawn yellow.
Well, Veziok did play for the anchor role. Oh, wow, big two-piece there from Madcat. He needs to pick up one more. He's been challenged from behind and from the front. Oh, he doesn't manage to pick up those final 2 kills. But Veziok did go for that early anchor rotation, but he was just completely isolated on his own, and he was just taken out instantly. So it was a little bit of a wasted rotation there, and that's why Millennium have taken a fairly comfortable lead at this stage. Just 14 seconds in it, though. Green hardpoint, and the crucial hardpoint is up next in Garage. As all of you guys know on stream, Veziok, though, currently looking in this backdoor area, should be a simple kill, and it looks like HyperGames is going to wrap up the rest of this time.
Absolutely, Veziok pushing into this wing. Oh, Joe's going to take him down. Madcat also following up the skills, and there's another kill going to be traded away. It looks like it's going to be an even battle going into the next hardpoint. Ray is going to push for those spawns. He is shut down by Tony JS, though, and Joe's going to pick up the scrap time. This is a nice rotation from the HyperGames team, and it looks like Millennium doing the good thing of coordinating to push out onto this bottom atlas and see if they can take the spawns for themselves, and it looks like they may well have done that. In fact, they have done that. HyperGames spawning out on that school side right now, as it's just going to be a back and forth scrap for this next hardpoint. Millennium currently in control of the hardpoint. Tony JS just looking to see if he can get some sort of battle going on for these spawns. He spots Madcat on the statue. Madcat going to put him in his place, though, and he is just going to stay alive, holding these spawns for Millennium right now, as HyperGames still having to trek all that way from the school, and they're losing out on precious time.
Yeah, well, Madcat there just played his role to absolute perfection, anchoring, also switched to a sub as well and challenged that ramp area, and it looks like Veziok 7-7 thus far. He's going to try and challenge his anchor spot yet again, but no, Madcat there. Well, the thing is this is a little bit of an unconventional role for Madcat. You usually see Madcat rushing in those hills with a sub or even with an AR sometimes. He's got obviously a very versatile player, but this time he's playing a little bit more passively, just playing a little bit more defensive, you know, literally getting on those anchors, giving his team the spawns and letting his teammates play aggressively. But currently on board with Gataga, he's on a 3 streak, but it looks like he's just been taken out, headed into the yellow hardpoint.
Absolutely, 40 points. Oh, make that 36 points in the lead for Millennium, and HyperGames just getting control of these back spawns. He's going to spot Tony JS. Joe with the AR now, looking in the window to see if anyone does challenge him. He is going to try and challenge that as best he can. Doesn't work out for him. Maxi in the hardpoint right now. He's going to get challenged from the front, and now this is the time for Millennium to push them out. They are starting to spawn out, and Millennium have control of this yellow spawn. Riskin's going to push into the front. He's taken down twice by Gataga there. Gataga getting 2 kills. He's on a 3rd kill right now in the hardpoint. Gataga has had an amazingly good run of form on Advanced Warfare right now, and it's good to see him getting into a team that is going to be able to compete with him, because I don't really want to say anything bad about his former teammates, but they weren't particularly picking it up last season when they really could have done.
No, we saw Gataga literally carry his team for, you know, a lot of the Season 1 EE Pro League, and it wasn't, you know, in essence, all of the teammates were playing badly. It was just the inconsistency from the other 3. However, with the likes likes of Joe, Mad Cat, and Rated, and it just offers something completely different. Consistency from top players, and that's why I say they've got a chance of winning Season 2 of this EE Pro League. But they are currently winning against HyperGames 115-275 in this school hardpoint. Joe going to pick up that AR, pick up a kill from distance, fall down from HyperGames, and this is an impressive start after the first set of rotations.
Absolutely. Joe needs to be careful here. He hasn't got much support, but he is slapping them down right now, keeping control of that hardpoint. Actually pushes out with the backup from his team as Rated gets 2. Madcat also putting kills down. Maxi's pushing from this green hardpoint right now, as there's still 25 left on this school hardpoint. He does spot Rated in the front of the door. He's also going to get traded away by Madcat. Tony JS sitting in the middle street, blocking off them spawns from Millenium if they do push up the mid street, but they've actually elected to go through the garage. There's going to be stuns blown up by a trophy. Again, Tony JS getting another kill. He's going to give some support in the school, and now HyperGames just about getting a couple points on the board to get themselves back into this game. They're not out of it. They're not being heavily outslayed. They just need to get a little bit more game time as Millenium. Tony JS, he's doing a great job right now. He just needs to keep these spawns for his team and do as much slaying power as he can.
Well, the thing is he is the player to watch in my view. As I said at the start, big gumbo coming up. Oh, takes out Rated from behind. Madcat trades it up though. And as you can see, Tony hasn't had the best game thus far. 15 and 14. Usually he's leading the way Slayer-wise as well. Such a great player in my view. But Madcat at the moment just untouchable. 21 and 12. Should pick up a kill just outside the garage area. Picks up the first kill. Is going to pick up the 2-piece in this mid-atlas. Does pick up the 2-piece, but taken out there by Veziok. But he did enough. But Veziok returns a favor by picking up a 2-piece of his own.
Absolutely. As you see, the entire Millenium team spawning over on that yellow corner right now, as the influence spawns have worked out. Starting to spawn on garage now. Good target in control, getting this scrap time. I think HyperGames are going to try the early rotate. No, in fact, they're going to push for one more. They do need to be careful here. We have got one of their members looking to push to the back spawns. 70 points in the lead, Millenium, right now, and it looks like HyperGames are just letting this game slip away from them. Need to get a little bit more hill time if they're going to stay in this game.
Yeah, 175 to 110. It's not looking great. Over a minute advantage for Millenium. So Kataga's going to be pushing inside green. Taken out from behind, though, by Maxi. He thought he was going to get the turn on kill. Rated also taken out of that hard point. So Millenium, Joe, last player alive in that green hard point. But luckily for them, HyperGames are spawning out in and around this yellow area. So Joe, at the moment, he's not going to get challenged too much. He's got great covering there from Madcat as well. And he's going to challenge in and around this blue area. But can he hold off? No, he can't. Maxi breaks a hill yet again. How many times have we said that about Maxi already? He's actually playing pretty darn well thus far.
I mean, Madcat, unfortunately, is playing far better. 30 and 15 right now. Like, we talk about how much of a slayer Madcat is. He is doing an incredible job of killing people right now. Goes for the third piece. Not going to get killed, but Rated follows it up. That is teamwork right there. Just trading away those kills in vital situations. And the HyperGames don't seem to be doing that as effectively as the Millenium team right now. Now, Veziok looking for this rotate. He is going to get that contested by another team, by an enemy in a minute. In the stairs, Joe playing the smart idea of just lying down. Madcat again getting 2 kills in his favor. Riskin follows up on Joe, and Maxi cleans up Madcat. There's just kills going all over the board right now. Gataga jumps in his hardpoint, just about gets that one, as he's going to get challenged by Veziok. Veziok puts him in his place. Another man in there. It is just flood central at the moment. I'm not even sure who's got the spawns. It looks like HyperGames have got control of these spawns right now. They're starting to spawn a little bit further out onto that yellow, as they do need to get into this hill desperately. Millenium going all out and just making sure they have control of this garage by stacking as many in. If you have lost the spawns, you just want to pile it up with as many people as you possibly can. Get control and then send someone out to try and cause a distraction and slow them down from moving forward, because if you do lose everyone in that hard point, you are going to start spawning out in school. You're not going to have the spawns, and you're just going to lose precious time. And Millenium playing it so textbook right now.
Yeah, 120 seconds left, and obviously the advantage is 100 seconds. So by the look of it, Millenium are going to wrap up map number 1. It is on their host, so we're obviously going to see how they perform off of host on the HyperGames host. Obviously headed in to map number 2, which I believe is going to be compound hardpoint, but I think that is pretty much all she wrote for this map. Millenium looking very impressive after the first map. This is the first time we've seen them with this brand new roster. Obviously this is map 1 of season 2 of the EE Pro League. If you've just joined us, this is map done and dusted. 250 to 135. Honestly, would you say that's pretty faultless from this Millenium side? Mind, Madcat, when he's playing like that, you can't really do anything wrong, to be fair.
I mean, like, as far as anchoring goes, it was pretty solid from Millenium all around. I mean, HyperGames did what they could to try and get control of the map as best they could. They just could not compete. It was just sheer slaying power from Mad Cat, especially. I mean, you look at the kill deaths right there from the HyperGames team. It wasn't the worst. I mean, I've played games where we've been absolutely hammered in the kill death department, but not lost by so much. So it seemed like more that they just didn't have control of the hill when it needed. Like as far as the kill deaths go, not the worst. I've seen worse, but you look at the kill deaths on the Millenium squad, and it was just insane how heavily one-sided it was. Mad Cat just putting up numbers for fun, basically. It was inspiring, to say the least.
To be honest with you, I think where HyperGames went wrong is they were almost focused too much on the anchoring. We saw Veziok after the second hardpoint in around green. He just played the anchor role, and no one from HyperGames was backing him up to actually flood the hill. If you'd have seen two players go for that anchor spot, then one could push in back green, and they could actually fight for that hill, but they surrendered about 20 seconds, even though they had a player up in the anchor spot. But if you've only got one player there compared to 4 from the other team, it's pointless you being there, to be fair. And we saw it also in the garage hardpoint, and Mad Cat was just winning those crucial gun battles. When HyperGames was just trying to flood him to get those, crucial spawns, Mad Cat was going big, and he finished 39-20. 39-20, almost dropping a 2 KD. That's, I keep saying it, but you can't really fault that performance from Millenium. I mean, they could have obviously shut HyperGames out a little bit more, but this is up against their French rival, so to speak.
I think it took a little bit to get into it. It was quite even throughout the first rotation until it started to get to the end of it, but the HyperGames competed from the start, and it just seemed like they got away from it. I think you made a very good point in saying that they they focused too much on the anchor. I mean, holding the spawns on this game, if you've got 3 people like the likes of Joe or Mad Cat or Rated who can, or Gataga, who can challenge those hills and win gunfights, then it's great having the best anchor in the world, someone who can just watch your back and hold those spawns down for you. Like I played before, and people love it when you give them the spawns that you want to give them, but the problem is when they're focused so much on holding those spawns and they're not getting hill time, which seemed to be the problem, is they weren't winning the gunfights. It helps that they had host, admittedly, but ultimately if you can't win those gunfights, you're not going to get any hill time. And it seemed like when they could have potentially gone as a 4, they held on to those spawns as much as they could rather than pushing it as a 4. And I've had those situations in games where if you have not got anyone winning the gunfights in the hill, you have not got control of the hill, your spawns mean nothing, because all you're doing is just respawning people to go in there and die over and over again. You're not getting anything. So you might as well throw off the spawns, say hell to the spawns, and just go in there as a 4 and try and dominate. I mean, it can easily bring back a very close game. I mean, some people have off moments and things don't go their way. Maybe they don't like a certain hard point. Maybe things just aren't going their way. Like, there are games where you'll be playing fine, and then all of a sudden it's just not going your way, and things aren't going, and you just have to get over that and move on, and try something else. And I think maybe that's where HyperGames could have changed it, is tried to change the tactic up instead of focusing on the actual spawns. Just before I finish my long-winded description of what happened there, we have got a score update. VWS 2, Epsilon 1. Wow.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, all right. We're wrong already.
That's exactly what I was saying. That's an incredible one. Another score update. Infused 3-0 to IGI, so not a real surprise there. Maybe there's a typo on there, but apparently we've got one more. Team Vitality 1, Spirit Gaming 2. What is going on here?
What?
Is this season 2?
Right.
Didn't we just have the roster mania of all roster manias, and everyone's like, we've got 4 or 5 amazing teams now, and we're seeing 2 teams who we picked to be up there with the big boys is now struggling.
Well, Spirit Gaming at the 100k, if I remember correctly, didn't win a single map the whole time. And now they've just won 2 up against the Season 1 champions. And although this is online, and Spirit Gaming are Italian, if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong on that. I'm so sorry. They're Spanish. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely wrong then. Although there is a slight connection difference there, 2-1... I'd be a little bit panicky if I was in Vitality's shoe. However, this is week 1. There are going to be a few rusty teams or some rusty elements to teams. There is a gelling period, but every team needs to start off with a win if they're looking to go on and win this whole league, in my view. Especially, Millenium could actually finish top if things carry on, because if Epsilon lose, if Vitality lose, Infuse are 3-0 up, I think, so Infuse could also go top as well, then we could see a little bit of a weird week of results, that's for sure. But I think we're going to take another look at the maps coming up now, just so you can see which maps have been dropped by the other teams and things like that. So obviously DLC maps looks like they are causing a few issues for some of these other teams we're talking about. So up next, Compound Hardpoint, then Comeback Uplink, the map of Advanced Warfare in my view. Recovery S&D, then Skyrise S&D, and we're going to finish off with a Biolab outplaying. So, Trout, I'm going to ask you, how much are you looking forward to seeing these two EU teams play a DLC map for the first time?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it on my face, but I'm really excited because
Yeah.
I've not really seen much of these maps. I've seen them occasionally in in the American Pro League.
Yeah.
I've seen it occasionally in some showcase matches, but I've never actually seen it being played. And I think you raised a good point earlier about how they spice things up a bit, and it's possibly a case of these teams haven't played them a lot recently, and they have no idea how the spawns work. They have no idea how to anchor it, how to set up properly, what they should be doing at certain things, where the hard points might be, they might forget. I mean, no matter how many times I play the normal map, sometimes I'll just have a brain fart and forget where the hill is. So it could be that some of these lesser teams, or these teams that we're not expecting to be competing with the big boys, are finding success on this, albeit luck, albeit be the fact that they're rusty, maybe they haven't played since the 100k, these teams. It spices things up a bit, and it throws a bit of a spanner in the works and makes things interesting, and I'm liking it.
Well, to be honest with you, obviously, I can't really disagree with anything you've just said, and I think these other teams, or the lesser teams, are finding a little bit of luck on that front, because on this particular, or the DLC maps, you don't necessarily need to be the most skillful team. You don't need to have that gun skill. You don't need to have a Mad Cat, for example. You just need to know spawns. You need to be smart, and by the look of it, obviously, these smaller teams, inverted commas, have actually gone and exploited that. So, could we see something with Millenium and HyperGames here? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to jump in the game itself. But one thing I will say very briefly is, obviously, these DLC maps, you know, they do spice things up. And I think over the course of this EU Pro League, we're going to see teams get better and better and better. So this first week, for the smaller teams, inverted commas, it is their best opportunity to cause a little bit of a shock. But right now, we're going to start on board with Joe, rated saying he's one of the best sub-players in the EU. So as you can see, he's in that ASM1. Let's see if he can live up to that hype, I should say. His first hard point isn't around this yellow area, and I apologize in advance. Callouts may be a little bit rusty here. First time casting this map. I think same for you as well, Trapper. Yeah, you know, it looks like there's been a fairly decent start from HyperGames here, but, you know, these maps were only added in last minute. I think they were only added yesterday. A decision from Gfinity came. So a lot of the teams, they haven't had a lot of time to practice on this. So maybe it'll come down to which team has played this map more on pubs, or, you know, something really ridiculous. So it's gonna be, this is a 1 week where teams have got minimal notice to play this map, and yeah, I'm pretty interested to see which way this is going to go.
Absolutely, we're here with Rated contesting this as much as possible. It seems like you can actually contest that hard point from either side, so it's going to be interesting. This is one of those hard points that looks like it's just a massive scrap battle, and HyperGames coming out on top. Looks like they might have put a little bit more practice time into this map than the likes of Millenium. I saw a couple of teams tweeting out that they'd like to get a scrim in before the actual Pro League just to test out these new maps and see how they work. As Veziot's moving forward, it is worth pointing out as well that HyperGames are on host right now. Maxi is going to get cleaned up. Tony JS are starting to spawn at that bottom hill. It looks like maybe this is not the potentially favoured spawn of the two. He does spot someone in the corner. Rated has got that one. Joe also following up on this as well, looking to try and keep that in the favour of Millenium. Millenium just bringing this one back as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, currently on board with Mad Cat using the AR. Picks up a kill on Maxi from distance there, and he is currently 5-5, so hasn't had the best of starts. However, Millenium starting to claw back that deficit. Should overtake HyperGames, sorry, anytime now. But as you can see, you know, it looks like there's not a lot of map knowledge thus far. It looks like Mad Cat's just taking up a little bit of a power position in and around this mid-map area and just picking up kills from distance. And thus far, it looks fairly simple. But as soon as I say that, 3 down for Millenium, and HyperGames should retake the lead.
Yeah, it looks like they have actually got good spawns for the next hardpoint, though. It seems like one of those hardpoints you preferably want to be sitting on this top spawn. However, towards the end, you want to be getting the bottom spawn as much as you possibly can, because it does set you up for this green hardpoint, I believe it. No, in fact, is it yellow? I don't know. I wish I could use the excuse I was colorblind.
Yeah, no, I think it's in the bottom green area here. So currently on board with Rated. There we go, just sort outside. Should have a kill. Oh, picks up a kill on the back door on Tony JS. Currently 5-7, so still not a great start from this Millenium side when it comes to slaying. But I think you can tell the slight host difference here. And here we go, big gunner going out, big 2 players flooding the hill, picks up the first kill, is he going to pick up the second? No, gets covered there by Joe. So 68 or 69 to 40 now. Looks like Millenium, after a sloppy start, is starting to rebuild that lead.
Absolutely rated. Just sitting in this corner. No one seems to be able to challenge him, and Veziok just sweeps him up with a two-piece. Simple as that. He's going to get challenged from the front. Another one getting that auto mantle there. Not really working out for him. Someone's jumping in there. Rated does get the bunny hop kill. Maxi goes down, and Rated floods into this hard point. Just going to get the scrap time. Millenium going to rotate round for the next hard point. I don't know what HyperGames are doing right now. They seem to not be aware of exactly where the next hard point is or whether they can challenge round for it. But it is going to be in this red area on the top. You can actually jump from underneath on this one, so you have to be careful of where you're looking, as there are two major points, but you can come up through the middle, and it looks like this is going to be a hard point where it's very much locked down if you can get yourselves in there.
Yeah, well, Gataga currently on a 3 streak, picked up a beautiful little two-piece when we jumped on board, and currently looking down low. Spotted one player, picks up that kill, nice and easy. Is he going to get this bloodthirsty? Get that 5 streak? He's going to look in around this red cut area, but no, he's not going to spot anyone. And I completely agree with you. HyperGames at the moment look a little bit lost. I don't think they really know where to go, to be honest with you. That may be us just seeing things from Codcast and getting, you know, the wrong idea. But
well, they just basically stood there looking at the last hard point, not really sure. I don't know if they weren't keeping attention on how much time was left, but they stood still, and the entire Millenium team rotated for this red hard point, and they just basically stood there and watched.
Yeah, well, I'm currently looking at the top left of your screen in the mini-map, and it looks like HyperGames are just spawning on the opposite side of the map. Millenium have just got complete control, and even though they are on the next side of the map, so we'll jump on board with Tony. Can he hold on to this hard point, or is it going to be broken instantaneously? No, he does win that first gun battle up against Rated. He's going to get challenged by Madcat, though. Oh, another big gun battle there from Tony JS. So he's on a 2 streak, but gets taken out there by his stun. Does 1 point of damage, so he must have been a one-shot as hell.
Absolutely. Joe going to be doing as much as he can. He's tagged 2 people up. Can he get the third? He does finally get a kill in the end. 2 people heavily tagged, and they're cleaned up by teammates. Joe in support here for his team. Joe gets a second one there. It's going to get contested from behind. Rated having his back. This chemistry of Millenium just seems to be settling in so well. Gataga just filling in the extra man. He's doing a great job right now. Madcat on the slaying prowl right now. 0 caps to his name, but making sure these spawns and flanks are completely covered for his team as they rack up the points. Veziok with a huge 3-piece there to get HyperGames some momentum going into this next set of rotations. And it looks like Veziok just moving around. He's actually using hardwired as well in this one, just to make sure stuns aren't giving him a problem, because they seem to be in full force right now. And Veziok going to do what he can to contest this hill for his team. Yeah,
it's obviously back on the first hard point in around this yellow area, and there is a nasty little spot where you can actually get some hill time, but it looks like Veziok is not opting to use that spot. Picks up a kill, though, on Madcat. Can actually flank around. Should pick up a kill on Joe. No! Gataga covers Joe there. Maxi, 16-19, not been a great start from him thus far. Taken out again by Joe, and that feed right now was all Millenium until Riskin broke up my train of thought. Damn you. But yeah, obviously, lead is still substantial for in favor of Millenium, but HyperGames starting to claw back the difference.
Millenium really not letting that host do them much damage. Riskin, unfortunately, on a 9-21 right now. He really needs to step it up for his team right now. If he got some more kills on the board, he could really put this team back into contention of this map, but Millenium just seem to know exactly what they're doing right now. This game, they probably haven't scrimmed more than a couple of times on this map, and they really look like they're experts so far on how it works.
Yeah, well, obviously, Madcat was in NA for a time on TCM, so maybe he did get a little bit of advantage with playing the DLC maps, but that's just speculation. I'm not sure if that's 100%, but Tony Jess just taken out there Joe. It just looks like Millenium are comfortable on this map. It has to be said. That is the exact word I'd use to describe comfortable. They're on every single rotation. They know where to anchor. They're exploiting the spots in that first hard point. I said there's a little head glitch there just in front of you before Joe turned back around. So Millenium at the moment, they look like they've done their homework. However, can we say the same about HyperGames? In my view, probably not.
We're on board with Joe right now as he's going to get taken down by Riskin. Riskin starting to get a couple kills on the board for his team. Tony JS looking to contest this hill. He does get 1 kill down. It looks like Millenium still spawning on that yellow area. Tony JS going to go down though. Joe in the hard point with Rated. Them two, the duo right now, really putting in the work for the Millenium squad as he's finally taken down. Veziok getting this bottom spawn. They really should be rotating right now, but instead they're picking up scrap time and moving completely just separately. They're not even going as a team. Yeah, well, if you look at the top left of your screen, then you can just see all 4 players just nowhere near each other apart from Veziok, and I think there's 1 player in front of him, but obviously he's just been taken out there, so that was Maxi in front, and he's been taken out, and at the moment, HyperGames, they just look so spread out. They don't know what the spawns are. They don't know how to kind of flood hills by the look of it as a unit, whereas you compare that to Millenium, there's always 2 players from Millenium on the hill, 2 players just outside of the hill. They know the rotations. They know where to anchor. We've seen Madcat anchor earlier on in this game. He's currently
26 to 22 as well. Risking 15 and 26, not dropping enough kills for me at the moment. So we're going to jump on board with Kataga in this green area. It looks like Joe is just spawn trapping them at the moment down in that underground area. And Millenium, they should wrap up this game in the next hard point if this carries on.
Absolutely. I think it's very good advice for any of the teams who are maybe struggling on these new maps. Just go back and watch these VODs afterwards and watch the mini-map. Don't watch the gameplay, watch the mini-map, and you will learn everything you need to know about spawns. We've watched this. This is the first time I've actually seen this played on a competitive level, and I've seen quite a few of the spawns and how it works. So all you've got to do is pay attention to the mini-map, and you will learn everything you need to know about this map. I mean, it's fair to say it's very small, it's very compact, so anchoring maybe not the most valuable thing at all times on this map. However, when you consider how many objects are in the way and the very few limited ways to actually get from halfway across the map to another, it can become very useful for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I really couldn't disagree there. Obviously, spawns are just so influential, particularly on hardpoint, but that was just another comfortable victory for this Millenium side. And HyperGames started off well, to be fair. To the first hardpoint, they did have a fairly substantial lead. I think it was around 28 seconds, but I'm going to jump aboard with Mad Cat for this kill cam. You know, Mad Cat, all game, same old, using that AR, basically spawn trapping HyperGames the entire game alongside Joe, up close and personal with that sub. But, you know, looking at those kills, risking, 18 and 30, but to be honest with you, I think it was more of a team failure there from HyperGames. They didn't look comfortable on that map. They looked, they weren't really working as a unit. They were trying to flood hills as individuals from different ways and thinking, right, I'm going to push in on my own behind, and I'm just going to kill all of the players in the hard point because I'm on my own and I'm going to surprise them. It doesn't work like that, especially against a top team like Millenium. But obviously, that's the first time we've seen DLC, so it'll be interesting to see what you guys think sat at home. Do you prefer seeing the DLC maps? Is it weird seeing EU teams play DLC? Then obviously let us know on Twitter. Just tweet at Gfinity. But what are your thoughts after that? Have you got anything to add, or do you think we've pretty much covered that?
About the map or the teams playing it?
Mainly what HyperGames kind of can do to improve, to be honest with you.
They just need to be aware of. It's quite clear they haven't really played that map properly. They haven't scrimmed it properly. I mean, Riskin, I believe, is the substitute for tonight. Yeah. Because we haven't got Maxi involved. He's actually on holiday, I believe.
It's Mello. Yeah,
Mello. Sorry, Mello. He's on holiday right now. So obviously, it could be that Riskin's not too familiar with the map. It could be the whole team's not familiar with the map. But there was that one opportunity after the third hard. Was that her third hard point? I think it was the third hard point. They just kind of stood there watching the last one with 5 seconds left and just didn't really know what to do after that. So it looks like maybe they're not aware of how the rotation goes. Maybe they're not aware of the spawns. You could tell on a lot of opportunities they weren't too sure how to get control of the spawns for their team, which on a couple of hard points is very, very crucial. So that's all I would have to say, is maybe they just need to go back and watch the VODs of this and some of the other games, or just play it a couple more times, even if it's against bots. Like, it sounds really silly, just playing 4 bots.
I agree.
But you can actually learn a lot just by playing the game as to how it works. I don't know why I need to tell pros this, but they probably know this, and they're probably saying, shut up, Trout. But either way.
The thing is we're helping people out on the stream as well, I suppose, if they want to play a DLC.
There's some advice.
But now we move back to a more familiar map mode combination.
I love this.
Come back uplink. Now, we don't need to explain how the spawns work in this map to any of the pros or any of you guys at home. This is going to be outright aggression from these two sides. Millenium, definitely, more favorable for this map. I'd say probably going into this favorites. However, on the HyperGames host, can HyperGames pick up this map? Because if they don't pick up this map, they will obviously make sure, it will guarantee that they don't finish with 3 points, and at best they can hope for a draw. And winning 3 maps back to back up against a team like Millenium, especially off host twice, I'm not overly confident, but there has been an issue with one of the players, I think. So, yeah, we'll jump into that sooner rather than later. I think I got a little bit too excited. But heading into this, do you think HyperGames have got a chance of picking up this map?
I think they do. They do love a bit of comeback uplink. I mean, we saw them against Infuse when they used the old host cheese, that I call it, the connection cheese, because they picked the host on comeback uplink, which is probably one of the most host-dominated games in it. And comeback uplink is such a Marmite map. You either love it or you hate it. And I know a handful of people who love it. I know a handful of people who hate it. And it's all about glass control. If HyperGames can get glass control and control the map properly, they'll be all right. But I know that Millenium are very, very good. Well, the core 3 were very good at comeback uplink.
Yeah.
And if they can maintain that going in with Gataga, who's, you know, a fresh player for them, someone who they can mold and help them get used to what's going on, because he's had to use a lot of his lone wolf kind of ideas and tactics. And you can just, it's incredible how much you as a player can grow when you're with teammates who have the experience and know what they're doing and can play properly, because you don't have to worry about what they're doing. They've got your back. So you just have to focus on what you're doing in your game. Yeah. So being able to rely on other people to do their job it improves your game a hell of a lot.
Well, Gataga thus far in the previous 2 maps, he hasn't really done anything too special.
He's been doing a good job, though.
Yeah. Undoubtedly, he's had to change up his role, but I think he looks a lot more comfortable. Although he's not dropping the 40s or the 45s or anything like that, he's doing the job for the team. And I think he's definitely thriving, not being under as much pressure. Obviously, if you're Gataga, you're always going to have some level of pressure because he's the French monster for a reason. At the same time, having the likes of Mad Cat, which he just seems to naturally go off. Every single map, he just tends to just play out of his skin. Joe as well, we've spoken about Joe, unbelievable sub player. Rated as well, does a lot of the dirty work. But obviously, Gataga can now just slot in and do everything else. He can just cover for teammates. He can just be that support player that just kind of helps where needed. And thus far, he's thriving. So it's been really refreshing to see kind of Gataga thrive in this team. But we're going to take another look at the maps now. So obviously, we've already spoken about Compound enough, but obviously headed into this, you know, would you say that this is HyperGames' best opportunity to win a map? Bearing in mind, this is their last map on host until the Skyrise S&D, and obviously by that time they could have actually lost the series outright. So walk us through the rest of the maps.
So we got comeback uplink. It's probably, as you said, HyperGames' best opportunity to take a map off them. Search and Destroy and Recovery. I know that Millenium, the core 3 of them, are very good at that map. Skyrise, obviously, it's a new map for everyone. How they'll do, I don't know. I know the French are always good at Search and Destroy. It's one they practice a lot. Biolab uplink, another one that I think Millenium are very much going to dominate. So this is where HyperGames are going to really start to get their pressure on. And just going back to the Gataga comment, Gataga, when I've watched him over the years, he's been one of those guys who seems to have just been given free reign to do what he wants, almost. Like, he does, if he wants to be in the hill, he'll be on the hill. If he wants to go and kill things, he'll go and kill things. And I saw a lot of that, but it seems like also at the same time, he's a little bit more controlled. Everyone seems to have got him to, you know, settle down, not try and do everyone's job, and he seems to be more control on that support role. And I saw Mad Cat as well. Instead of being the out-and-out slayer, although he did a fantastic job of slaying the whole time, he held the spawns down a lot more than I saw him do at the 100k. So it looks like there is a lot more structure in what's going on between some of the players, especially on Gataga's part.
They look like a team of 4. That's the crucial word. The old Millenium looked a little bit like one player carrying, and we've already seen 4 down from HyperGames after 16 seconds. This could be 1-0 or even 2-0. Mad Cat is currently on the drone, and let's see what he's going to do with it. Looks like he's actually going to go for the dunk, pushing through this blue area. Should slide, double jump, easy dunk after 25 seconds.
2-0 to Millenium now, and Mad Cat just going to get some more kills on the board. This is going to look very, very bad for HyperGames. Oh, wow.
Get turned on, my son. But looks like Joe's now on the drone as well. This does not bode well. This is 4-0 after 40 seconds already.
He got the slam kill as well.
Wow, and almost picked up a 2-piece there. Risking, though, does trade it up, but it looks like HyperGames are in a little bit of a spawn trap right now. Rated me pushing this patio area. No, he's actually going to jump top blue, jump over, dunking 6-0 after 55 seconds. Millenium, this roster is looking like a real threat to this Season 2 league after literally 3 maps.
HyperGames, they're not just getting trashed on their own host, they're getting decimated. And the worst thing is, they haven't just taken their losses and just overextended to try and get some map pressure. They just keep flooding it by one at a time towards the uplink. Boys and girls at home, if there's one thing you don't want to do on comeback uplink, it's just constantly, after you respawn, running straight to the portal, because you're going to just get killed after killed after killed, and Millenium are going to do what they're doing right now, and that's dunk and dunk and dunk. You either need to make sure you go and push as a 4, or drop your losses and overextend and try and stop the bleed, because that's what happens if you don't stop the bleed.
2 lessons for you there. First lesson, how to play comeback uplink from Millenium. Second lesson, how not to play comeback uplink from HyperGames. That was pretty much spot on from Millenium, and it really was. And the thing is you can definitely tell the influence of the likes of Joe, Rated, and Mad Cat is coming in. I was listening to Zuma in the player room. I said this at the 100k, and they were saying the problem with the EU teams is when they get spawn trapped on comeback uplink, they panic, they don't know what to do. And it looks like Millenium have actually been working on how to implement that spawn trap, and HyperGames just didn't have a response. And I'm really, really concerned for HyperGames right now, because this could even be 20-0. I don't think it will be. Maxi is currently on the drone. It's gone for the 1-pointer, so there we go. It's not going to be a whitewash, but if you're HyperGames right now, you're shell-shocked.
Absolutely, but they've got to have a plan after they all went down there. Rated's actually moved in. He's going to go for the reset. Quite happy to just slow things down. In fact, that ball has fallen for them. That's a risky position to lose it in, as they are starting to lose men right now. And as you said, it's no good having a strategy for this map if you haven't got a backup plan. That looks like what was the problem for HyperGames. They had no backup plan.
Yeah, well, it looks like Riskin's under fire at top ACs. I don't think he's going to get a 1 point to get the opportunity. No, he's going to get taken out there by Rated, who switched to that AR, and it looks like he's actually going to pick up the drone as well, so he's going to try and do a little bit of everything. It looks like, not Epsilon, sorry, it looks like Millenium aren't going to go and try and extend it to 20 points. They're happy with getting a very quick win. 1 minute 26, well, actually less than 3 minutes, comeback uplink is done. I've been hyping this up, saying I'm really looking forward to seeing this, and we've got to see less than 3 minutes. So I'm not happy, but at the same time, the first round was a joy to watch from Millenium.
What's interesting, we've actually had a player lag out of the game as
I think
well.
It's a rage quit.
Oh, yeah, in fact, it might well have been.
I think it's a rage quit there. So there we go. That was HyperGames not doing too well there on comeback uplink, but Millenium have now guaranteed themselves at least 1 point from week 1 of the Season 2 EU Pro League. And after seeing that, there is no way, surely, that they are going to drop a point here. This is surely series done and dusted. I mean, even momentum-wise, getting battered like that on your own host, you can't just bounce back from that. It's so hard to put that type of beating at the back of your mind going, don't worry, guys, next map, everything will be fine, because the chances are you're feeling pretty angry like, guys, 1 minute 26, the game was over.
Admittedly, we've got 2 search and destroys, which is a little bit slower. Yeah. It will be a little bit easier for HyperGames to kind of bring themselves together instead of a respawn. It seems like the respawns are just getting dominated. They don't really have the proper setups. It could be because they're using a substitute. It could be because they're just rusty from not playing for a while. I don't know, but it's not looking too good for them right now.
No, and the thing I want to stress is we haven't spoken about this an awful lot. HyperGames last year, with the exact roster we're seeing right now, finished 3rd. And fairly comfortably 3rd as well. Infuse finished 4th in the end. They didn't manage to pick up a win up against Vitality in the final week. So HyperGames online are usually a very, very strong team. And right now, they are being made to look pretty average, to be honest with you. And this is how good this Millenium roster is looking. Millenium survived last year in this league by 1 map. I think you casted that, and they were literally 1 round away in S&D.
They were 5-3 down as well.
5-3 down. You know, map count 2-2, not 2-2, sorry, I think it was...
It was just 1 map.
Oh, it was just 1 map. Well, that's even more pressure. So, essentially, they were 1 round away from not being here right now. And now they are here. The organization themselves, Millenium, said, right, enough is enough. We want this title. We're making these roster changes. And right now, you know, I don't think you'll probably be watching this, whoever the head of Millenium is, but they must be pretty happy looking at this roster going, wow, we've got a real title contender on our hands. And, you know, I'm really interested to see what the score updates is going to be from the other game, because, you know, Vitality were only 1 map away from dropping points. We're going to try and find that out now. Epsilon also only a couple maps away from dropping points. And if they drop points after week 1, do Millenium then become one of the favorites to actually win the league? Or do you think it's too soon to make those judgments?
I think it's too soon. I mean...
Yeah.
Admittedly, there have been a lot of changes across the board from all the teams, so it's going to take a little bit of time to gel. We've got some fantastic talent in those teams, but obviously gelling doesn't happen overnight. It could be they've all taken their time to rest after that 100k, because that was a big weekend of Call of Duty. People want to chill. They've probably been grinding the game as much as they possibly could before that, and they took a little bit of a break. And at the moment, with how things are going, it looks like a lot of the teams were announced only recently as well, so they might not have got a lot of practice in.
Millenium was only announced today.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's probably been in the works for a while. However, teaming together, maybe not practiced at all. So it's a fair point to make, and we'll have to see how it pans out over the the season, because admittedly it's only a short season, so whoever can adapt to it as much as they possibly can is obviously going to be faring out better at this. However, we're going to go to a quick break while we set up the next map and get ready to see the second half of this matchup between Millenium and HyperGames. It is 3-0 to Millenium. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
You want to rob my boner?
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Hello and welcome back to the Gfinity EU Pro League. My name's Chris Trout, aka the Trout91, joined by Ink for this match against Millenium versus HyperGames. Obviously, we've seen the new roster of Millenium in full force in this game, making a swift and convincing 3-0 over HyperGames so far. And we're going to be going into the next 3 maps. Let's take a quick look at what those maps are going to be. I believe the next map is going to be a Search and Destroy on Recovery. Now, Search and Destroy on Recovery. We said that this could be the chance for HyperGames to mount the comeback. Obviously, Search and Destroy, completely different game mode, a little bit slower. The French are obviously well known for how good they are at Search and Destroy. How are you thinking about this one?
Well, after seeing that uplink, I'm not feeling very confident for HyperGames, to be honest with you. However, obviously, this is probably the ideal time for a Search and Destroy to come in for HyperGames. So, obviously, Recovery, they've played it. They know this map. There will be no excuses for them. If they win this map, they, do take a little bit of momentum headed into the next S&D. Luckily for them, it is back-to-back S&Ds. But obviously, if they don't win this map, they get nothing from this series, and they play for map difference alone. And because this season is particularly short, and there's more games at LAN in this season, we've seen HyperGames in last season and at the Gfinity 100K, they don't perform too well at LAN, so they need points, and they need them online just to build up some momentum ready for the LAN event. And if they don't, we could see them dragged into a relegation battle, and I know it's pretty early to say that, but this season the teams are so strong. Millenium with their roster changes, unbelievable. Epsilon returning Swanee and Shane. I don't really need to say anything at all. Then obviously you've got Vitality, Season 1 champions. Don't need to say any more. Infused, Marky B Quicker, etc. 4 top teams already. And then you think, well, what about the rest of the teams? VWS may get dragged in. Obviously, they're having a fairly decent start thus far. I think they're up against Epsilon. I think they were 2-1 down last time we checked, and we'll try and get some score updates for you.
We got it.
As
Epsilon
well.
versus VWS 2-2 now.
2-2. Well, yeah, that's we're both wrong for our predictions. It's not a great start for the season for us. But VWS just 1 map away from guaranteeing themselves a point off of what I thought were the favourites to win the league. But I'll ask you bluntly now, who is your favourite to win the league? Obviously,
It's got to be Millenium. It's got to be.
Really?
Yeah. We've actually got another score update, Infused 5, IGI 0. So that's going pretty much how we expected. If IGI get a point, get this next map, I at least get that one right. But it's going how we expected. I mean, Millenium are just looking too strong at the moment.
Yeah.
Purely off these first round of games, 2 of the teams, Epsilon and Vitality, who are expected to be at the top, are now struggling against those 2 teams. So maybe they're not as invincible as I maybe give them credit for. That's not to say the other teams aren't amazing, but they're not looking as strong. Infuse look like they could be doing some damage, but we said that last year. We said they could potentially do some damage, and they did great to start with the season, and then they tailed off towards the end, especially after they made those changes. So Infused maybe up there with them. It could be the Vitality, Infused, Epsilon, Millenium 4 that we're looking at, the top 4 there.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how that all goes.
Now, I was going to say before the stream went live, Millenium are one of the favourites to win the league in my view. The one thing which kind of put me off them a little bit is I think the consistency of Epsilon, particularly at LAN. I mean, they've just got such experienced players. Obviously, Zero isn't as experienced, but under the wing of the likes of Shane, Swanee, and even Reedy, he's got a fair bit of experience thus far as well. You know, more games at LAN for Season 2 means more points up for grabs at the LAN event, and if that's the case, Epsilon should be looking at getting maximum points if possible. Vitality as well, very experienced side. Urban and LXT, you know, some people raise question marks over Vitality picking them up, but at the moment their form is undeniable. At the 100k especially, we had I was sat in the players room for a lot of it, and the amount of players going, wow, that LXT, wow, that Urban. They'd never heard of them before, and their form was just making everyone turn their heads and go, I want to watch this guy, especially in S&D. It has to be said in S&D, but even from Urban, I saw him drop a few 40s as well in Respawn, and that was his one weakness in my view when we casted him in Season 1. Didn't drop a hell of a lot of numbers in Respawn, but at LAN, unbelievable. So I think Millenium at LAN may drop a point or two. However, after seeing this, I'm starting to change my mind, because obviously there is a big difference between online and LAN. I keep saying LAN. I apologize, but obviously a lot can happen there. So I'm going to disagree with you. I'm still going to go with Epsilon, but if they drop a point this early on against VWS, arguably one of the favourites to get relegated, only survived relegation last season by the skin of their teeth, then I may have to change my mind.
Well, had that Epsilon roster, which was this core 3 of Millenium, Mad Cat, Joe rated, had they been with Reedy throughout the entire season, I would have picked that team to be the winners overall, because I thought Vitality, although they were the strongest of the teams, I didn't feel that the teams performed well enough from what I would expect a champion to have. So I would have picked them to be my champions last season had they been throughout the entire thing, which is why I'm going with them again. I think that Gataga basically fills the exact same role that Reedy would have done, put in the same kind of numbers, the same kind of ethic and work. So I can only expect them to do well. I mean, the other teams right now looking a little bit worse for wear.
Yeah.
Evidently, it is online, so that could change. And as you said, there are more games at LAN this season. And it could be those small problems of LAN and teamwork can be swept aside with how good players can perform on LAN.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that all works out in the end. I mean, I'm still going to go with Millenium to be backed. Who do you think is going to get relegated?
Well, judging by this thus far, I think HyperGames will be fine. I think when Mello comes back in, I think Mello offers something completely different to Riskin. I think HyperGames will probably be all right. Liquid Gaming, Spirit Gaming, Spirit Gaming, I'd say are probably the favourite to get relegated. They've only just been promoted from the championship, but I haven't seen an awful lot of them. I only saw them at LAN. I haven't seen them online, so I don't know, if they get any cheese, as you call it, connection cheese. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to say Spirit Gaming, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, I'm VWS. I think IGI, judging on what they did in the championship, if I remember correctly, they pretty much swept everyone away. So I think the key games will be the VWS versus the IGI. I think the loser of that series will probably get relegated. But saying that, VWS probably better at LAN. And one thing I want to touch on briefly, I'll ask you a quick question, to be honest with you. You said that if Mad Cat would have been in that Epsilon team from the beginning, they would have won that league. So with that in mind, do you think with Mad Cat in that team, would they have beat Vitality at that opening weekend at LAN? Because we can't forget, Vitality Epsilon on the first LAN of Season 1, they got stomped 5-1. With Mad Cat in, would you say the different result?
Yeah, I think so. I think Mad Cat just brings overall such a better thing. I mean, I questioned the change at the time.
We both did.
We both questioned it. I thought there was probably a more optimal change to what they had at the time.
Yeah.
After seeing them at the 100k, they really impressed me with what they had, because obviously we hadn't really seen them properly play together, and we were skeptical about how that team would gel. And they have admittedly gone and moved away from Reedy and picked up someone else. So I think they would have won it. I still maintain there might have been a more optimal change in that team at the time.
Yeah.
However, considering how well these three have gelled together and the fact they've stuck together and how well all three of them performed at the 100k, I can't really argue with it. And I still think, I think this season they're probably the favourites to win it for me.
Yeah.
Another score update: Epsilon Esports 2 maps, VWS 3.
I've changed my mind.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think IGI and Spirit are going to be going down. I think VWS have enough to stay up. I mean, they made that late change towards the end to bring Realize as a permanent starter to the VWS lineup. And I think Realize, he's gone under the radar. He's been hard done by this season because he's always been a top Call of Duty player. Maybe sometimes when people have teamed with him, it's not been the best gelling experience with him, which is fair enough. Some people don't get on with some people don't gel quite as much, and some people don't think alike, which can have an effect. But as soon as Realize starts playing with them, it looks like they are a lot more comfortable together, which is why I would say I think VWS might struggle at the bottom, but I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they'll do enough to stay up again.
I think if they can, well, bearing in mind they're now one map away from beating Epsilon. If they beat Epsilon, there's no way I can say that they're going to get relegated, surely. I mean, the thing is, this is only week 1. We've got to kind of stress that. So, obviously, we set as casters, we're kind of just judging things off of this week. But over the course of time, I think VWS may start to struggle. But saying that, you know, I'm rethinking about things now. Season 1, they finished off the season so strongly. They were arguably the second favourite to go down after Overgaming. And all of a sudden, Realize coming in, as you said, they just went nuts. And they were beating essentially everyone. They were pushing everyone. They drew with HyperGames, I think, when HyperGames were stomping on the likes of Vitality and pretty much every team online, to be fair. And, you know, VWS, if they can carry on what they're building on thus far this week, you know, they could actually push for the top 4. I mean, maybe that's a little bit too soon to say, but this just goes to show Season 2 of the Pro League is bigger, it's better, and, you know, it's a lot harder to call, to be honest with you. 4 teams... You know,
it's just all the roster changes. I mean, to point it out again, that Epsilon is Swanee, Shane, Reedy, and Zero. So Zero's never... I don't know. He hasn't really performed at LAN, I don't think. He hasn't really been given the proper chance to perform at LAN. So, and this whole squad is new. They haven't really played much together, I don't think. So it's going to be new. Shane, obviously, taking time out of Call of Duty as well. He played a little bit. He's played in some of the qualifiers. I think he played with Gunchi and Marky B in one of the championship qualifiers just for some fun. And
as you do.
Yeah, it's fair to say that this team is new to each other. They probably never teamed before on this game. I mean, Swanee and Shane obviously teaming before in previous games like Black Ops 2, but they haven't actually properly played together. Another score update, Vitality 2, Spirit Gaming 2, so that game's getting intense as well. Another team that's made a lot of changes, Alexi and Urban obviously teaming together, but we've also got PE and Tommy, so that's two teams coming together, and you've got to give time to gel. Like, gel just doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes there might be some cohesion to begin with, but it's tough to just come out and against a team like VWS, although not one of the best last season, have played together and haven't split up and have been playing together since.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question now, and because I'm a little bit undecided on it. On paper, you know, it looks like the EU teams or the EU scene is stronger, but in practice...
It almost looks like it's got worse.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Or maybe
you.
out of practice.
Well, the thing is all the players involved in the EU scene, obviously with the addition of Swanee coming back and Shane, etc. We've spoken about that a hell of a lot. I do apologise, but on paper, with all the names listed, you think, wow, the EU scene has got a lot of top players around at the moment. But in the teams currently, I don't know if some of the teams have necessarily been watered down, so to speak, or there could be stronger mixes, arguably apart from Millenium, because they're looking like they've got the best possible mix thus far. But right now, would you say that the EU scene is stronger or weaker after the 100k? Because after the 100k, Infused, 4th overall, lost out to Optic Nation 3-1. And, you know, I casted that, and it was fairly close, to be honest with you. You know, EU scene, people were in the stream on MLG TV, were sat there going, all right, this EU scene isn't too bad anymore.
They did us proud.
Yeah.
They did us proud.
Yeah, 100%. EU represent, all that good stuff. But, you know, now I'm sat there thinking, well, has it been weakened, or do you think it's just going to take a little bit of time and then it's going to be stronger than ever?
I think it's just going to take some time. I mean, a lot of these teams are brand new to each other. They need to gel. And I think this Call of Duty is one of those Call of Duties that you can't just pick up a new team and get together with 3 other people and just instantly, you know, wreck face.
Yeah.
You have to give it a little bit of time and get things under control, because you need to be so much more on your game and thinking. You can't just lazily sit there playing like some of these pros were that good enough they could do. It's just sit there, pick up 3 people and be like, all right, carry us to victory because I'm that good. But Advanced Warfare takes a lot more thought, a lot more communication, a lot more teamwork to actually get it going. It's not to say that people can't go ahead and backpack some people, but I think with how this game works, it's not as easy to just pick up a team and instantly hit it off. I mean, even for that 100k, although a lot of the teams weren't together for ages. They had time to practice together, and with this, it looks like they haven't had a lot of time to practice together. So they've just got to go off what they know, Call of Duty-wise, and being smart about what they do.
To be honest with you, the result I'm most surprised about, Epsilon result, I can relatively understand because we've already been through why we can understand it with, obviously, the fresh roster changes, not any of the teams really playing together, all that kind of stuff. But with the likes of Vitality, obviously, at the moment, 2-2, Spirit Gaming, only just been promoted. I mean, LXT and Urban, they were in Season 1, you know, they were at LAN, all the players know each other. Playstyles are pretty obvious, although, yeah, it is going to take a little bit of time, but you think, well, if Millenium can do what they're doing right now, and they've had the exact same time, essentially, probably less time, actually, you know, Vitality right now, you know, are you surprised by the fact that it is taking a little bit longer to gel for them? Because they all know each other. They've all been around each other.
They've played with each other before.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think maybe it takes time, but I also think that maybe some people have been guilty of stat watching rather than gameplay watching, in the sense that I love LXT. I think he's a fantastic player. Had an incredible 100k event. But a lot of the time, what he was doing, gameplay-wise, especially on Hardpoint, he wasn't actually playing that smart. If you watched him play, he was messing up the spawns a couple times. It was just the fact that he was purely outslaying people that he was getting away with it, and it didn't make that much of a difference. And I think that sometimes a lot of these teams have stat watched instead of watching the actual gameplay, and maybe what they're doing that was great for another opportunity hasn't worked out for them so much. But enough of that. Let's get into this game. It's all kicked off very quickly here. 35 seconds on this bomb. Rate has actually pulled out the HBR. This has actually become known as quite the cheese gun in Search and Destroy because of how disgusting it is right off the break.
Yeah, well, it looks like Riskin's going to have to make a decision here. Is he going to go for the defuse? Rated is just in front of him. Gun has been spotted. Should be an easy gun battle. Oh, just about takes out Rated there, but Mad Cat is still alive in and around Dome area. Bomb is planted away where it can be spotted from distance. Mad Cat, though, is just going to play the clock.
I think he saw him.
The experience from Mad Cat is coming out right now. I don't think this is, even if it does go in favor, beautiful play there from Mad Cat. Can't fold it.
Absolutely. Well timed. Used any sort of sound he could to just tell exactly what was going on. Riskin panicked. Got 3 kills for his team at least, so if it does go to the 5-5 situation, they're more favourable to get the defense, but well executed by Millenium. Very good rush on that one. That's all recovery is. It's just to make sure you get those picks, stop them from pushing you on that A-bomb, and get the bomb down as quickly as you can. Yeah,
well, as you said, Millenium just made that A-rush, very overused A-rush, has to be said. Trophy system coming in for Riskin. Standard setup here. Bomb looks like it's going to go straight down for A as well. It's planted in a way where you can spot it from distance as well. So, oh, well, there's 2 down actually for HyperGames. Riskin's in a 1v4. He's going to try and plant this bomb, though. He needs to win this first gun battle, though. He's been stunned already. He's about to get flooded, taken out already, and that's 4 down from HyperGames. Millenium right now are just playing so aggressive, and it looks like HyperGames, they tried to come up with a counter there. They tried to play aggressive in response, but in fact, that worked completely against them. So I think they probably need to try and slow down the pace a little bit.
I don't know who's shot calling for Millenium right now. I'm going to have to assume it's possibly Rated, but it is working to a T right now. The shot calling is just on point for Millenium right now. Whatever they're doing, just keep doing it, boys, because it is working in incredible fashion right now.
Yeah, well, we jump on board with Rated, the assumed shot caller. And as you can see, he's still using that HBR, the ultimate cheese gun. And it looks like he's just going to lock down this Dome area, just outside Dome, looking towards top jungle. But he's not going to get challenged. Guitargo has been taken out, and this is better from HyperGames, slowing the pace down. It's almost as if they can hear me. But right now, Joe's going to have to make a decision. He just tagged up someone there from HyperGames, but right now, I think HyperGames are probably playing this round down to a T. So far, so
Absolutely.
good.
Much better from them. Risking getting involved in some more kills for him. He is a Search and Destroy expert. Here comes a shotgun, actually. That's going to get turned on. It is, in fact, a DLC gun. I'm not sure if that's involved in the rule set. I'm going to have to assume it is. I don't think they would be so blind as to pull it out. But anyway, Joe is going to get this bomb down. It's a 2v1 situation. Veziok just sitting. Where is he?
He's actually by the blue door area, literally by the B site, but it looks like he's actually jumped up inside the bush. Yeah, there we go. So he's actually got the PDW out right now. Joe is literally in front of him, but obviously Veziok hasn't spotted him. But he needs to play. No, he's panicking, going for a 360 apparently, and just taking out. I'm not really sure why he'd go for a 360 in that circumstance, though. Is that just me?
Thinking maybe. I'm not sure exactly why. I can only assume that maybe there's been a bit of trouble in Paradise for HyperGames, and there's a little bit of arguing going on.
Well, you're in a 1v2. You've got 35 seconds to defuse a bomb, more than possible, so you go for a 360 with a sniper. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys, if you're watching the stream, you're expecting me to have an answer. I don't have an answer. We're going to jump on board with Veziok again and see if there is trouble in paradise, as Trout put it. But as you can see, he's just going to pick up this defensive role, so I'm not going to stick on board with him. Kataga gets first blood. Rated gets second blood there. HyperGames looks like they're really struggling right now. Currently on board with Kataga, 3-2 thus far. He's been pushing in to that opposition spawn. Tony GS left in a 1v4. He's been spotted. Blunderbuss DLC gun come out. To be honest with you, there has to be arguments between this HyperGames side right now, because there's no way that you seriously play with a blunderbuss when you need this map to stay in this series. Honestly, I can't defend it unless there's a ridiculous buff of the gun, which I don't know about, and it's actually one shot from a distance.
I'm not even sure it's in the rule set that you can use that, because we've never... I don't know if we've just gone full shebang right now. We say DLC for all, use everything. If so, I would get my STG-44 out, because that thing, let me tell you, that is a ripper. Absolute ripper of a gun. So if he's going to bring out a DLC gun, I would hope he'd bring that one out.
Yeah, well, we're going to stick on board with him. Well,
I don't know what I don't think he's allowed to use it, but it doesn't look like it's going to make much of an influence.
I don't know what
result.
Riskin was doing there. He ran in mid-map and then just ran in circles and then got taken out. So there's no way the HyperGames are taking... Well, XMGs have come out. This is pretty embarrassing.
This is interesting.
This is pretty embarrassing from HyperGames' perspective. You think you finished third last year in Season 1. Yeah, you did get battered on the comeback uplink. It's a brand new map, though. So why wouldn't you take this seriously from the outset? Yeah, you lost the first 2 rounds fairly convincingly. However, it was only 2 rounds. You slowed down the pace in the next round, but instead it looks like they've spat out they spat out their dummy, essentially, and they said, oh, we're going to lose this anyway. We're just going to mess around, pull out XMGs. And you think, you're a professional team right now. And I know it sounds like I'm roasting all these players, but I'd expect more from a team like HyperGames. They were the top team in France, and I think we're actually going to jump out that game now, because I don't think you're even allowed to use the blunderbuss. And this is really disappointing to see.
It's quite disrespectful, to be honest. Like, for a professional team to come in like this and not really look like they're giving it a proper go is a little bit disrespectful. And the worst part is the guy who is substituting for them is at the top of their leaderboard, and 2 of their actual players are 0-5.
0-5, 0-6.
It's really, really... It's not good. It's disrespectful. There are teams out there who would kill to be in this kind of position to play it, even if they got stomped 6-0 every week. They would love the chance to have this kind of regular competition. I'm a little bit disappointed in HyperGames the way they're acting right now.
Well, as I said, like, I've got a little bit of a reputation for being a little bit too harsh on players sometimes, but right now...
Let loose!
But right now, you can't really defend it. As you said, there are so many teams right now in the EU scene which would love to be in their position, as you said, playing for 11.3k. And right now, as I said, you're 2-0 down in S&D, but rather than say, right, guys, let's just try and play for a point, because they can still get a point at this stage, and that point could be the difference between being relegated or staying up. We saw last season in Season 1, it came down to map difference and then a one and done. That's how close Season 1 was. And this season, we've said it's actually going to be closer. There's more talent on offer. So instead of, taking it seriously, think, right, we're going to pull out XMGs, blunderbusses, this, that, and the other, try and 360 kill cam. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you. And, it's disappointing to see, because if you're Millenium as well, you want a serious game. You want practice. If you're challenging for the title, you want to play teams at their best. Scrim. Yeah, you want to play teams at their best. And even in a scrim, if a team starts pulling out XMGs and all this kind of stuff, you'd be annoyed, and you'd probably just leave and say, well, no, screw you. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help us. So what's the point? And obviously, I don't even know if we're going to be playing the rest of the series, because if we... Obviously, another S&D is next. If they're going to pull out blunderbusses and XMGs again, I may as well go home. I may as well go home, put my feet up, have a hot chocolate.
Leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
I won't leave you. We'll go
I'll
for
have to sit here until next week. Actually, it's tomorrow. We're on tomorrow. By the way, just to let you know, we are on at the same time tomorrow with the next set of games. Obviously, this Super Week that we're doing, which is code word for 2 games in 1 game week, basically.
Super week.
Tomorrow we have got another set of games, and tomorrow we're actually going to be watching Millenium and Epsilon. So if you haven't had your full filling on Millenium, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen here, whether we're going to jump into a different game, because it doesn't look like HyperGames actually want to bother anymore. We will get to see Millenium play properly against this Epsilon lineup. So we'll see how that goes and whether it will be... that's going to be one of those games that really does settle the difference at the top of the league, who is the best and who is just not good enough to be the best. Yeah,
very true. I mean, tomorrow is set up pretty damn nicely, but I think we are going to go to a brief commercial break now, just so we can see what the hell is going on with HyperGames and if they want to continue. But obviously we'll be right back with all the updates, all the news, all the results from the other games, so don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome back to the Gfinity EU Pro League. My name is Chris Trout, aka the Trout91. I'm joined by my lovely co-caster, Inc. And we were watching the Millenium versus HyperGames matchup, but for some reason HyperGames don't feel like playing properly today. And they've basically given us a really, really unfortunate circumstance where things are just... We've come to watch this amazing game between two titans, and... they've not turned up. It's not the fact that they haven't turned up. It's the fact that they're not bothering anymore. And they basically started making a mockery of the entire Pro League, in my opinion. And it's a real shame to see, because there are teams out there who would love to be in this position. I'm sure one of the relegated teams who unfortunately have been put down to the championship now would want to be in this situation and would easily take it, even if they got 6-0 smashed every week. They would love the opportunity to have proper regular games.
It's exposure.
And it's really unfortunate that they're not really trying anymore.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, to be honest with you. Obviously, we've got the championship literally just below the Pro League. So, all of those teams, even though they've got nothing to play for, essentially, because obviously if they get promoted, this is going to be the last season of Advanced Warfare, we think. So they're essentially just playing for pride. They would love to have the opportunity to come up to, the big stage, so to speak, where they get exposure on this channel, etc. And, I think HyperGames have made a mockery of it, to be honest with you, and I hope they do get some retrospective punishment. We don't really get a say in that kind of stuff, so yeah, I just don't think you can doss around and waste everyone's time, especially if you've got your game streamed on this channel, etc. And obviously we've taken the time out to cast it and all that kind of stuff, and
you guys have come to watch it.
Exactly, and then they're pulling out XMGs and KF5 rapid fire suppressed, and you just think, bruh.
And it's not even just us. We've also got Deserto covering it, the French stream, who have come out, and obviously they love casting the French games itself and covering those for you guys.
It's a massive rivalry.
They've also had their time wasted. There's a lot of people who have had their time wasted just because HyperGames can't be bothered. I know there's been a bit of drama going on amongst the players involved in that squad, but professionalism is something that should be key to players now. If you want esports to grow, if you want Call of Duty esports to grow, you need to show some professionalism and act accordingly. I know that this isn't the proper team they want to be playing with. I know that they're probably out of their depth against Millenium, and it's not nice being absolutely trashed, but that's what you sign up for at the end of the day. That is why you're playing this. It's not only to get the chance to have a go at some of these best teams in a proper format, it's to practice and, be a part of growing the scene. And for me, someone who is very engrossed in this scene, I know for you, who's someone very engrossed in this scene, it's very disrespectful and it's very rude. We've got a score update for you, which is something that we're going to talk about now. VWS, the team that managed to stay afloat by a map or two last season, literally by the skin of their teeth, have just beaten Epsilon 4-2. The Epsilon squad of Zero, Swanee, Shane, and Reedy. Now, Reedy obviously parting ways with the core three of the Millenium team now. We've got Swanee, who's come back from the US, obviously a much better, versatile Swanee. He's like the cyborg Swanee now, after coming back from the NA.
A good-looking cyborg Swanee.
Mr. Calvin Klein, I like to call him. We've had Shane, obviously Bunzel's experience being in the NA as well, maybe a little bit rusty after not playing so much recently. And we got Zero, the new fresh blood in the scene, has been given a chance by this incredible lineup. Now, it's not a good start, especially when you're known for being an online presence in Zero, not necessarily much of an offline presence. It's not very good to come in first game and lose 4-2 to a team that just narrowly managed to stay up last season.
Well, we don't know if Zero could have actually gone off. He could have played out of his mind. I think we're not going to find out until we actually turn the stream off, which is a bit annoying, to be honest with you. But obviously, doubts have now been raised about Epsilon's title credentials, perhaps. But to be honest with you, I think the more time this league goes on, the better and better this team is going to get. And it has the potential to dominate the EU scene, in my view. It's just an incredible lineup. And although we've mentioned Zero and said, yeah, he is, brand new talent, all that kind of stuff, that's what the esports scene is all about, giving younger players a chance. I mean, every single top player has been a young player in the day. I sound really old now. I'm honestly not old. I'm new myself. So, you've always got to give, new guys a chance, things like that. And Zero could have actually gone off. And there's always going to be a few issues, teething issues. And it's a shame that, well, I say a shame. I'm not biased or anything like that, but it's a shame that we haven't seen the top Epsilon team come out. And I'm not saying that I want VWS to lose or anything like that, but losing 4-2, you kind of do lose a little bit of hype for the Epsilon side, but maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need to stop.
We saw shock upsets last season, so maybe it's just this one opportunity where things haven't clicked for them. I think it's fair to say as well, Swanee and Shane have gone to the US for a good, significant period. They've probably learnt stuff, a lot of stuff over there. They've learnt how the meta and the game is supposed to be played.
Yeah.
And maybe they're trying to instill that on Zero and Reedy, and it's just not quite clicked right away, because this is a new team. I don't think they've been together, officially at least, for more than a week. So we have to be bearing in mind that maybe it is a teething issue. As I said before, VWS, another team who have stuck together throughout the whole of Season 1, made a couple change here or there towards the end, stuck through all of that, played at the 100k, haven't changed their roster. It's been the same. They've been practicing together the whole time. So maybe that's just helping them get that win there. And it's a crucial win. That is huge, 3 points. That's going to be one of their fixtures that they're going to look back at and be like, so glad we won that. So glad we won that game, because if it does get to a point where maybe things start to go against them, they're going to be so thankful they got those 3 points in the back.
Yeah. My concern, to be honest with you, is, we both agree that Epsilon are going to, pull the form out of the bag, so to speak. Only problem is the next game is tomorrow. So they haven't got a week to go away and work on the things they did wrong today. They've literally got tonight and tomorrow up into the game, and they're up against Millenium, aren't they? And Millenium right now, they don't look like a new roster. They look like a strong team because they've got that core three. And Gataga being added to it, we've spoken about Gataga and how good of a player he is. So I'm really concerned for Epsilon right now. I mean, we haven't seen how Epsilon played. They may just got really, really unlucky, all that kind of stuff. But judging on the score alone, Epsilon versus Millenium tomorrow, if Epsilon go to lose, and right now they're probably favourites to lose that game in my view. If they lose that, they could actually have their title shot gone within 2 days of the EE Pro League Season 2 start. It is mad. And, it could get to the stage where by the time we get to LAN, they haven't got a shot of realistically winning the title. It could be over in 2 days.
Imagine if you said that to a Premier League team. Within your second game, you will have ruined your chances of winning the Premier League.
The thing is, it's not even second game. Within 2 days of the season started, no, sorry, you're not going to win. If you say that to Man City, Chelsea, whatever, I'm sure we got a lot of Americans in the chat going, "Oh, sucker." But we know what we mean here. It's cool. But yeah, I'm hoping that Epsilon do have chance to kind of go and work on their weaknesses, because obviously they're going to make mistakes first time playing together, but have they got enough time to mend those mistakes or to amend those mistakes, to work on those weaknesses? And if they do, if they grind pretty much all night and all of tomorrow, they've got a shot of causing an upset, because right now it would be an upset if they beat Millenium tomorrow, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. It'd be incredible if they did that. Millenium looks so strong right now. And just to give you an update on what exactly is going on here, as I said that we've actually got a score update. Let's do that first. Spirit Gaming 3, Vitality 2. There's one more map in that.
Yeah.
It means that Vitality have to win that to secure a point. It looks like teething issues going on in that team as well right now. Spirit Gaming obviously haven't made any roster changes, didn't do very well at the 100k themselves, but
no, it really didn't.
Not really looking too good for Vitality right now. Maybe they're starting to think, were those changes correct? And as I said, Alexi, great player, had an amazing 100k. Questionable about how he took his tactics in that one. I don't like pointing out people's flaws and mistakes, but it was also noted by a couple of other people who I've talked to that he had an incredible series, an incredible run, did everything you could ask for him, slayed, but maybe it's the fact that tactically wasn't correct, but because he did so well at slaying, he got away with it. So it could be that issue.
To be honest with you, you know, I don't really know enough about LXT to make comments and stuff. All I say is his S&D was ridiculous. His
He is a good
sniper
S&D
picks
player,
were
no doubt about that.
so impressive. But with that in mind, I was disappointed, to be honest with you, to see that Infuse lineup break up. I was, because when you have a team finishing fourth in a tournament which has Optic, as in Gaming Nation, FaZe, TKs, Rise, etc., and Infuse finish fourth, that is a team with potential.
We've seen it
real,
before,
real
though.
potential.
Epsilon dropping out Marky B for Meerkat, and
well, one thing I want to ask you quickly, right? At the 100K, Vitality was 17 seconds away from almost beating Optic Gaming on the comeback uplink, and if it would have gone to the S&D, Vitality were favourites. They just beaten Optic Gaming on S&D, went to comeback uplink, they were 17 seconds away, they just had to defend the portal for 17 more seconds, and they would have beat OG, played a fifth map in S&D, and if they would have won that, you know, they wouldn't have made a roster change, to be honest with you, but it was almost like, right, we've just lost to Optic Gaming, so we're going to make a roster change. It's like, bro, it's Optic Gaming. Do you know, they're arguably the best team in the world right now alongside FaZe. Well, they are, to be fair. And, you know, I'm
suspect, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think we saw comeback coupling. Was it?
It's not their favourite map.
No, it wasn't. And, you know, with that in mind, it's frustrating to see, but at the same time, this Vitality team, you know, if LXT and Urban can adjust sooner rather than later, they could then be a top team. They could be then placing, you know, very, very highly in tournaments. Obviously, Worlds is the last massive tournament left that the EU teams will probably be going to. So it'll be really interesting to see if teams can gel in time for that. But at the same time, there's still a lot of money on the line for this tournament. There's still over $11,000 on the line for this tournament. And I think there's a little bit of concern in my mind that some of the teams are using this as a bit of a warm-up. And if that's the case, then you just think, well, why? Like, I'd happily take $7,000 for first. Like, I'd be taking this very, very seriously. And, you know, although it's great that the roster changes has come in, arguably, the EU roster mania, the hype has been real, has it progressed the EU scene? Not yet. It will, but not yet. And I'm hoping that it transitions sooner rather than later.
I think it's come at maybe an awkward time. After a big event, if it's not working for you, that 100K was the best of the best, playing at their best. So if it's not working for you at that stage, why is it going to work for you later? And I think that's the mentality some people get into. They're not willing to wait around for it to just go. You don't want to play an entire year with the same team and just lose when you could have made those changes. And I think LXT and Urban have brought in what Tommy wants in his team, and that's a bit more fire in the belly, a little bit more aggression, a little bit more talking. And he stated it, that Watson just didn't quite have the same kind of fire in his belly when it came to talking and communication. Like, if it went well, it went great. But if it didn't go well, it was almost lost entirely at that point. And you could tell for a while there were maybe some problems going on between the team. And as great as the team was on paper and in the game sometimes, there were times where it didn't work for them. And I think that's what they've gone and changed. And unfortunately, when you do consider some of the later tournaments going on at the end of the year, this is almost a warm-up for some teams, because they would rather get the practice in now in a proper setting than work on it towards the end, because at this point you can't be making too many changes, because you are going to literally be shooting your foot the whole way through. But just before I throw it back over to you to get your point, for those of you wondering at home, we are going to be jumping back into this Millenium HyperGames team game. It is going to be Skyrise Search and Destroy. Now, HyperGames, obviously, they've had a little word, bit of talking to, bit of a smack around the legs, and they are now hopefully going to play properly. Yeah,
well, I'm hoping so. Otherwise, we as I said, we may as well just go home now and just have some hot chocolate and just chill out, to be honest with you. But, you know, when arguably their league place could be on the line here, obviously, I'm pretty sure it will be up against the rules that you can't just throw maps, essentially, because that's what it was.
They were disqualified in that previous map. It says in the rules, I've looked over the rules, funnily enough. I'm probably the only person who hasn't looked over the rules. But you can't, if you are influencing results and you are not playing to your full potential, and you're basically trying to influence how the game goes by not playing properly, then you are subject to penalties. And that is at an admin and an admin's discretion, what that is, whether it's point deductions overall, whether it's maps being lost or whatever. It seems they've just told them that this map is not going to be, it's going to be going towards the Millenium team. We're going to be carrying on as usual, which I think is fair enough. Maybe there's a bit of we said there was some bad blood between the teammates
Yeah.
on the HyperGames team. We won't go into it, but there is maybe not the best of feelings between everyone, so it's not working out too well. But having said that, it's a professional setting. It's a professional league with professional players. So we expect the utmost professionalism from everyone involved.
Yeah, and obviously the Gfin guys have spoken to them and said, look, if you don't do this, you're essentially at risk of being thrown out. And if you do that, you've just got to think of things from an organization perspective. If you're an org owner and you're sat there and you're watching your team throw maps in the biggest European league there is, no, you wouldn't be happy. And, if I was in that shoes, I'd probably say, right, guys, see you later. I'd probably drop them all. Obviously, you can't really do that, because you've obviously got the roster locks, etc. But that's kind of the seriousness of the situation. It sounds like someone's been killed here, but this is Call of Duty, folks. This is more than life, Call of Duty. But yeah, obviously, I'm hoping they're going to play to the potential on Skyrise because HyperGames are a good team. That's what really frustrates me. Last year, 3rd. No one said that they would finish 3rd last year, but they got some great results.
5th at a push, I think.
Yeah, everyone said, oh yeah, they'll probably get 5th. They might push for 4th, absolute best. But a lot of people said, oh, probably be VWS 4th, then HyperGames, etc. But it didn't work out like that. HyperGames, when it came to online, they were just winning their games. And I think they only lost 1 online out of all of the games online. They lost both of their games at LAN as well, which didn't help their case. But generally speaking, they were a good team. And this is the exact same team as Season 1. Although it's not their team right now with regards to they dropped Riskin and brought in Mello, these guys are used to playing with each other. There's no communication issue on that front. Obviously, they have had some arguments of recent, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to being a pro, this is what it boils down to. The big tournaments in big moments with the big players. And it looks like right now HyperGames in the last game just completely lost their head. And saying that, I said to you during the Comeback Uplink, being stomped on 10-0 after 1 minute,
a minute
30.
25 or something like that.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to put that at the back of your mind for the next map, which is why I said, look, Millenium probably going to wrap up this next map. At the same time, you would expect them to actually try. But we are now jumping into Skyrise S&D DLC map time again. Hopefully HyperGame bring their A game, because if they do, they can really take a map off this Millenium side. They can test the Millenium side. And as we've already said throughout this stream, and as we said throughout all of Season 1, relegation can come down to 1 map. Just like it did last season, Millenium stayed up because of a one and done, because map difference was identical.
Everything was identical. Their head-to-head was identical as well.
There we go.
Everything.
And it could be
identical.
the same for HyperGames right now. They could go from 3rd in Season 1 to bottom. And, that does... It's quite a scary prospect, to be fair, but this is the level of competition for Season 2. It's the best it's ever looked. It's only the 2nd season, so I'm going to say that, obviously. But obviously, Skyrise S&D, we are going to jump into this game, and let's see if HyperGames can put away the blunderbusses, bring out the BALs and the ASMs, and let's see if we can have a good game.
Absolutely. We're on board with Riskin right now. He's going to spot down the opposite hallway. Obviously, this is a remake of High Rise from Modern Warfare 2, one of my favorite all-time maps, and I think, as well as everyone else, one of their favorite maps to watch. So let's see how this works in competitive. Rated is actually on top of this area. He does pick up Tony JS to get things going. Gutaga's also been traded away. And you know what's funny is we probably haven't mentioned how Gutaga's probably loving life on this connection right now. Like, if HyperGames are hosting, obviously he's even with them, considering he's in France. When the English are hosting, all the other team are lagging with him. So it kind of works out great for him. But there's Young in a 1v3. He's not going to make it. That's going to be 1-0 to Millenium again. Yeah,
it's not a great start here for HyperGames, but at least they're actually trying, which is obviously the positive out of this thus far. But obviously Skyrise, once again, we've spoken about the DLC maps. Teams are going to have to get used to it. HyperGames really weren't prepared for Compound Hardpoint. And, it's really hard to judge after the first round whether or not they're prepared for Skyrise S&D. But that's why it's not been a great start. But Millenium, once again, looks like they've got that map awareness, and when you've got that map awareness on DLC maps, you've almost got, how do I word this? You've got the edge on your opponents before the game's even began.
Absolutely. So Maxi, he's looking for this spawn snipe. Obviously, anyone who's watched a YouTube video or two knows about how many triples and quads you can get across that snipe. Not so much going to work on at the pro level, but it is going to be very fast and furious from Millenium. Joe picking up 2 kills. He has to be careful. He doesn't blow up there. He's going to get challenged from shots. Doesn't quite get it. Riskin still alive for his team, though, in a 1v4 once again, and that's going to get picked up. Was that a snipe through the window? I don't know. But it's going to be 2-0 to Millenium. We'll see what happened in that kill cam.
Yeah, 100%. But, we've spoken about this already. Millenium up against Epsilon tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken. Right now, Epsilon are probably watching this stream as their game is done and dusted, thinking, right, we are going to have a real game on our hands, because this Millenium side look like they are here to win this league. And, you know, it's almost quite a scary prospect, to be honest with you. The fact that they've just left Epsilon, they've just joined a brand new organization with a new player as well. Obviously swapped out Reedy and brought in Gataga, but this looks like it's been a team for a while. They look comfortable together.
Well, obviously, as I said, the Sports Night comes in, Maxi picking that one up. But as I said, all Gataga's doing is filling in a role with 3 people who are very comfortable and happy playing with each other. Obviously, to know exactly what's going on. So all he's got to do is do what Gataga does, and that's just be a French monster. And they're Gucci, as it's famously said. Yeah,
100%. Well, Maxi, I'm going to jump aboard with him as he did get that first blood through that spawn snipe. Unfortunately, we didn't catch it on stream. It's currently 3v2. Oh, wow, beautiful snipe there from, I think that was from Gataga, and then Tony does trade it up instantaneously. But Mad Cat now left in a 1v2, so HyperGames in a great position to actually win the first round of an S&D. And obviously, yeah, I know. Praise the Lord.
This will be the closest it's been since the hard point beginning.
Yeah, 100%. Bomb is down, though, so great. Oh, even more of a great opportunity for this HyperGames side. Mad Cat's going to be pushing straight in, though.
Spotted him there.
Yeah, Riskin's going to get taken out here with a sub. No, he's not. He's going to play his life. Tony's going to offer cover. And HyperGames win a round. Yes, boys.
That was actually really well played from them.
Yeah,
Riskin just baiting out what am I trying to say? Basically baiting out Mad Cat and Tony JS just sitting up there, so as soon as Riskin's got out of dodge, all he's got to do is pick it up. So if Tony JS did somehow go down, Riskin's there to follow it up. So well played by them. It looked like they've actually got a bit of cohesion for once, and they're trying, which is always nice to see in the Pro League. Well done, boys.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people who've just joined this stream thinking, why are these casters being so horrible
Stop being
to
mean
HyperGames?
to HyperGames?
Why are you being so horrible to HyperGames? Well, if you've just joined us in the previous game, HyperGames try going for 360 XMG kill cams. That's all I'm going to say, folks. But anyway, this is a different S&D. It's now 2-1. Currently on board with Mad Cat. He's also picked up that bomb. We're just getting a score update through as well. Live results from the Vitality game. And we will bring
it's going to be Spirit Gaming 4-2.
Oh, dear. Okay, well, that's Vitality and Epsilon losing the opening day of Season 2 of EU Pro League. The two favorites, arguably, losing, which means Millenium will go above them, guaranteed. And if they win 6-0, they'll go joint top with Infused.
It is very difficult because they don't have much time, as you said, to get over these little hiccups. They've got a game on tomorrow, so they need to be playing at their best. I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of sleep between the teams. They're going to be practicing all night. And 2-2 is the score in this one. It looks like HyperGames have finally come out to play. Looks like maybe they know this map a little bit well, considering the Modern Warfare 2 remake.
Well, I'm going to say something briefly now. Obviously, I've seen what Rated was tweeting on Twitter earlier, and he was saying Season 2 of the Pro League starts today. Hopefully we don't lose it by 2 maps like last season. So he will know, and that old Epsilon side will know, they cannot afford to drop silly maps. And if they drop this map, it would be considered a silly map. So they really need to remember what happened last season, learn from the mistakes that they made, funnily enough, against Millennium side, actually. And if they can win 6-0 here, joint top with Infused. But if they don't, obviously, it will be a map drop, to be honest with you.
I actually thought that was the best part of the Pro League last season, is when you would see a team stomp 5-1, but because they lost one map, it was almost like a defeat. I remember them they lost to Millenium, in fact, Epsilon, when it was Rated, Joe, Marky B, and Reedy, and they actually lost one map at the end, and it was all over for them. They thought it was a loss, basically. But Maxi's going huge. I'm sorry that I'm not giving you proper credit, Maxi. It would be a bit weird to stop my point in mid-sentence, but he's doing great with this sniper right now. It looks like he's really stepping things up. Can he get the third? No! Somehow not connecting there. And again, doesn't find it out. He's going to get pushed by Mad Cat. Mad Cat follows that one up. 2v1 for Tony GS to be the hero.
Yeah, I completely agree. And let's just remind ourselves that after Epsilon at that time dropped a map, Marky B was dropped essentially as a result of that. Obviously, there were other circumstances as well. But if they would have won 6-0, you know, would they have made the roster changes? Perhaps not. But big round there for Millenium. They stopped the rot, so to speak, and they kind of stopped the momentum building in favor of HyperGames. But, you know, we've spoken about what happened last season, and hopefully this Millenium side now can learn from their mistakes. But saying that, there's still a Biolab uplink to play after this. And, you know, it's not going to be on the HyperGames host, but we could see a bit of an upset on that front as well, because we've already said HyperGames are a good team when it comes to being online especially.
Absolutely. Let's see. Should we jump on board with Maxi quickly? See if he gets a snipe again. No, it looks like Millenium have learned their lessons. Or have they? They're pushing down the middle. Ooh, just about not picking that one up. It is going to be aggressive from Millenium, but Riskin does stop that one. Joe's going to get picked up. Oh, and the snipe trading away Gataga, reading him like a book. Riskin has been spotted up on that top.
Been challenged. Oh, hit marker from that distance.
Wow.
Oh, I'd be so angry right now. My controller would have gone out the window.
Yeah, there would just be a dent in the drywall where my controller would be. It'd be like, look, that's my new decoration on the wall. I mean, my flat's not very well decorated, but I'd at least have another decoration on the wall, and it'd be my controller halfway through the wall.
Yeah, hit marker from that distance. So if I'm Gataga, I don't speak French, but I'm guessing he's probably swearing right now, and that's probably justified. But Veziot picking up a two-piece kill cam by the look of it. And that was a beautiful little kill there. So HyperGames at the moment, looks like they're actually stepping things up, but it's all locked up at 3-3. Now, if you're in Rated and Joe's and Mad Cat's shoes, do you start, well, not Mad Cat, but particularly Rated and Joe's shoes, do you start to think, hang on, guys, are we at risk of dropping a map here? Are we at risk of repeating last season up against Millenium, funnily enough? Oh, those snipes coming in.
I think it's one of those situations, because obviously you hate dropping a map, because the top teams know how important those are, and also the teams fighting at the bottom know how important a map can be to them. But I think this is going to be a season where maps will be dropped regardless of whether you want to or not, because simply because of the DLC maps. And when they look at these results that have gone on over this week, they're probably not going to be too concerned if they were to potentially drop a map because of the upsets. We've seen Vitality and Epsilon, two of their biggest, closest rivals, have dropped not only maps but points. So I think they're going to be content if they were to potentially drop a map here. But having said that, they are 4-3 up at the moment.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think because this season is even closer than the last season, I think maps at the top are going to be even more crucial.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because obviously, if Vitality can lose to Spirit Gaming, so can Epsilon. So can Millenium, arguably. So can Infuse. But the thing is we expected Vitality. Your prediction in that game, Vitality 6, Spirit Gaming 0. I was 5-1, and that just goes to show that
they weren't even close.
That's what I mean. It goes to show that there can be shock results. So map difference is going to be more important than ever in my view. So right now, Millenium are in the lead. They need 2 more rounds to go 5-0. Oh, get black scopes on. Oh, Maxi's hit 2 black scopes in a row. Is he going to hit a third? Oh, I just want to watch Maxi all game at the minute because he is absolutely on fire. Go on, hit another one, please.
Let's just be quiet and listen and watch Maxi.
Let's just appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the Max.
Oh, it's just spotted a player. Oh, go for it. Oh,
why are you looking at it?
Oh, he hits another one.
Going for the ace right now. Rated is on the opposite side. He hasn't spotted him, though.
Black scope ace, please. Please, come on. I've got my hands together right now. Black scope ace.
In the air.
Oh, is he? No, he's actually switched to a PDW. Oh, he's going to swap to the PDW.
He gets the ace.
He picks up the ace. He's going to get the oh, no. Is he not going to go for diffuse? No, I think no. Riskin's on the diffuse.
Don't kill yourself. Why would you do that to yourself?
So Maxi gets an ace, including 3 black scopes. Unbelievable round there from Maxi. To be fair to him, he's been really impressive throughout this whole series, apart from obviously the previous map we've just seen. But, you know, he's probably in a position right now where he's pretty frustrated because he's been the most consistent.
Absolutely. He has been on fire. He's always playing extremely well. Let's see if he gets some more snipes. He's just on fire right now. The Millenium roster not putting their weight in. Joe's really struggling to carry that team to a victory. It is 4-4 at the moment between the two teams, and HyperGames looking to secure their first map of the series. Obviously, it is 4-0 in the favor of Millenium. Millenium already securing the 3 points for the night. HyperGames just playing for pride right now, making sure they get 2 points. Gataga does make a kill there. It is going to be a 3v3 situation. Veziot with the bomb. Obviously, this map is not very favorable for the attacking team. I think it's one of the few maps that really doesn't lend to the attacking team because the bomb sites are so open. It's about making picks, and Veziot has obviously done that. It is going to be traded away by Gataga. Maxi again with the sniper. It's a one-on-one between Gataga and Maxi. Obviously, these two guys are no strangers to each other in how they play.
No, 100%. Well, it looks like they're actually to the left of one another. Maxi did turn around there, and it's just about which player is going to spot the other one first. And we've seen the ridiculous strength of Maxi's sniper shot right now. So you have to say, in a one-on-one gun battle, you're probably favoring Maxi right now. But if Gataga can get up close with that submachine gun that he is using, then he's got an opportunity. But the further away he is, the less chance he's got. And he knows he can't challenge that from that distance. So I like this play from Gataga.
He's trying to bait out the plant, I think. He knows time is against Maxi right now. He's trying to bait out the plant. Oh my goodness! No way!
This is off host.
Maxi! Oh my goodness!
This is ridiculous.
Who does that? You naughty boy.
No, you're a very naughty
You're a
boy.
naughty boy.
Wow, fair play. Yeah, thing is, I said this is off host as well, so it's not like he's.
It is?
Yeah, this isn't on the HyperGames host, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah, it is no, is it? Home, away, home. So yeah, it is.
Oh, it is a HyperGames host.
So it might be Maxi's host, but still, wow.
Yeah, fair play. I'm going to have to jump
That
on
takes
board with him again.
cojones.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
backpacking his team right now.
11-7 right now. He's almost got as many kills as his whole team combined. And he's going to go for that nade as well. I thought it was almost held. Oh, and he hits it! Maxi right now, his plays are just... They are T1. They are on
Everything is
point.
coming up Millhouse right now. And by Millhouse, I mean Maxi.
Yeah, well, he's almost on a merciless. He's almost on a 10-kill streak on Skyra's S&D. DLC S&D. First time we've seen this in the E Pro League. Oh, just misses out there on Madcat. But now I'm going to jump on board with Rated. Madcat was traded out there by Veziok. We'll jump aboard with Veziok right now. He's in a 1v2. Bomb is going down as well. He's going to peek towards these things.
Such an unfortunate position. He can't quite see beyond that box. He's got time against him, although this is one of those maps you can't really rotate off of the bomb site because there's just no opportunity. You've got to sit still and wait for something. It is going to be going to around 11. Rated picks up that kill. Great spot from him and a great decision. Unfortunately, it's up to Maxi to go huge for them because the rest of the team just not quite putting in the shift.
Well, I'm just going to ask you a question very briefly now. Recovery S&D in the previous map, they were 2-0 down. Then they started dossing about. This map, they were 2-0 down, and now it's around 11. If they would have done that in the recovery, they could have had a real opportunity to win 2 maps. And if they were on back-to-back maps, they'd still be playing for a point here. But instead, even if they win this, they're just playing for map difference. But right now, we've got to start with Maxi. 12-8, which arguably, you know, it's still impressive to get 12 kills, but it doesn't look the most impressive. But he's had aces, he's had black scopes, he's had quick scopes, he's had the lot. He's been the full package on Skyrise. And right now, I mean, look at the consistency there from Millenium. 8, 8, 8, 7 kills. It's ridiculous how much Maxi is influencing this game right now.
Absolutely. So no one's actually gone down quite passive. Obviously, as we said, this is a very different Search and Destroy map to your traditional ones. There's a very open. There's not a lot of corners you can hide in. There's not a lot of secure ways to get that bomb down. It's about making picks, and Joe has made the first pick. It is traded away. Gataga goes down. Tony JS getting that one. Madcat trades away on Tony now. It's in the favor of Millenium, Rated in the back of the spawn. Let's see if Veziok can get that pick. Maxi's got the bomb right now. Just checking no one flanks from the spawn. Obviously, with the underground, it's very possible. Madcat's sitting right out of the thick of it. Doesn't want to do something, but it looks like HyperGames leaving this really late. Maxi again gets the kill on that sniper shot. He is going to get traded. No, and that is going to be another map in the favor of Millenium. Unfortunately, just not quite getting over the line for HyperGames. They left it far too late, and Millenium just came out all guns blazing.
But this is what HyperGames can do. And this is the frustrating thing. The last map, if they would have done this, I mean, that was so close to hitting Rated there. You got so lucky, but Rated picks up the 3-piece in that final round. And, you know, it just goes to show HyperGames, when they show up, when they play to their full extent, are a top draw side. And now, headed into Biolab Uplink, they do have a certain level of momentum. Biolab Uplink, you know, they weren't very convincing on the comeback Uplink, admittedly, but we'll just kind of put that to one side. Biolab Uplink, obviously a very different ballgame. And headed into this, Millenium, they know the importance of maps. They want to go joint top with Infused, and if they drop this map, they will go into second. I know the likes of Rated, etc., and they will never be happy with second. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. It was HyperGames hosting the last game, so I was wrong, but it wasn't actually Maxi who was host, so he wasn't getting that cheese as much as a host player would do. Not calling anyone a host player or anything like that, but you kind of get the idea. But we are now going to join up for
I don't think the players like it when we refer to host. I've had a conversation with Marky B, and he's just like, yeah, it's good that you mention stuff about host and connections, but maybe just tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, but realistically,
maybe we need to do that.
But realistically, online Call of Duty, like,
it is so different. Right? I play it almost every night, and I know the woes and the struggles of the connections online. Like, some people are just far better online than they are offline.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're seeing players drop 50, 55 kills on their own host, and then 20, I actually saw someone go 19 kills once. I'm not going to name any names because I'm just going to get abuse. But yeah, sometimes you do have to recognize the importance of host. But my point was, Maxi wasn't on host there, so there can be no questions on that front. But HyperGames did have the advantage with regards to their cheese, so to speak. So Biolab Uplink, they're not now going to have that advantage, because obviously having your team on host is an advantage. Millenium back to giving Joe host, and, you know, heading into this, do you think HyperGames can realistically take this map off of Millenium, bearing in mind this old Epsilon side or whatever, did make a few mistakes in last season where they would just lose focus on map 6. No, I didn't think so.
There's not much I can say. They just haven't been playing well tonight. This isn't the full lineup of HyperGames, admittedly, but they just don't look interested. I mean, that last map they actually tried. They've obviously been giving a stern talking to that. You can't just mess about like that. Yeah, wow. Pay attention. Yeah, you can't just mess about in this. This is a pro league for a reason.
Yep.
You've got to show professionalism at all times, regardless of how the game's going, whether you agree with the rules and you agree with what's going on and you're having problems with the team.
Yep.
You've got to show professionalism because it's not just you that you're affecting. You're affecting not just us here in the casting room. You're not affecting just the people at home. You're affecting the entire Call of Duty esports as itself if you're not showing professionalism. Because ultimately, it might just be you who represents you, but at the same time, you are a member of the Call of Duty esports community. Yeah. So you represent us all. So if you are not acting to your best behavior, it reflects on everyone. And it doesn't help
organization as well.
And we're all here. The reason why we're all here is because we love Call of Duty. And we want to see this expand and grow as much as it possibly can. So if you're not acting professional the whole time, all you're going to do is hinder it. And we're tired of living in the dark ages.
Yes.
We want to be there. We want to be up there with the big boys. But we're going to take a quick look at the maps just to show you how it's all panned out in the scores. It has been a very convincing win so far for Millenium. 6-5 in the last one was the time that we saw HyperGames really come out and look like they want to hang with the big boys. Biolab uplink, can they do it? We don't think so, but hopefully they prove us wrong. Tonight's been full of upsets, so this, in my book, would be an upset if we saw them take the last map.
Yeah, 100%, and I really do think that Millenium or this old Epsilon core would have learned from their mistakes from last season. As I've already said, I don't want to sit and repeat myself, otherwise it's just pointless watching the stream. But right now we are going to start. Do you know what? I'm going to start on board with Gataga. I think he hasn't had a lot of credit tonight because he's been doing a lot of the dirty work. I think he's been doing a lot of the things you don't necessarily see. Getting the hill time on the hard point, just offering general support to teammates.
I think he's okay with that, considering they didn't really win a lot last season, so he's probably happy to do whatever you ask of him at this point.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, he's going to get challenged from purple here. I'm not really sure if he saw risk in there at all. He just gets destroyed. But Maxi is currently on this drone. He's going to be pushing through this blue cut area. But no, he's actually going to get taken down.
Oh, Jinx. Jinx. You can't talk for the rest of the stream, mate. I'm not going to say your name. No, I'm kidding. You can talk.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll get to punch you now.
Well, Joe is currently on the drone, pushing through this blue area. Should hit a one-pointer here. Nice and easy. There we go. 1-0 in favor of Millenium. But they are on the supposed better side, so we have to emphasize the fact that Millenium do have a slight advantage in round 1.
Now, this is interesting. Nice to see from HyperGames, instead of challenging that green plant, they're actually overextending to make sure they do try and get their bearings instead of just challenging Rated on that head glitch, because Rated had that lockdown. The entire Millenium team had that lockdown. And instead of challenging through green, they decided to overextend through the biolab and try and catch him out.
Yeah, well, right now, oh, wow, okay, I think Rated's just killed himself, but as you can see, Gataga no, actually, Gataga did make a little bit of mistake there, so HyperGames could actually be in a position where they could go on the wraparound, but it looks like they're not.
I think they're just waiting for the reset right now, so they can get themselves together, possibly get some kills and bait them out. Maxi's made a huge two-piece. This is the momentum they need. Another kill by Maxi. Maxi is really giving them something to work with right now. Rated's going to get that kill, though, unfortunately. Joe pushing out into the snow. Rated has equally answered back with 2 kills. Riskin picks up. Joe answers back on that one, and now he's going to run onto Green Crane and look for a pass, hopefully.
Yeah, well, Joe's going to use a stun grenade, so he's actually, he's just hit him with another stun there, but gets taken out around the corner by Maxi. You just can't take anything away from him right now. He's going for the wraparound as well. If he passes to his teammate, he's going to be in prime position to hit a dunk and put HyperGames in the lead here. But no, he's actually going to go for himself. He's going to slide, double jump, stomp, and just about hits it.
That is a generous hitbox. I thought he missed that.
Yeah,
like, honestly, I know it's quite generous at times, but man, it looked like he really missed that. But fair credit to him. HyperGames in the lead on this biolab uplink. Looks like Millenium really need to put their slaying power back to use and make sure they don't hit any rim shots, as we saw Gataga hit earlier on. Joe actually pushing over to this green plat, see if he can cut them off before they push forward. Oh, some sponge right there, as he's gonna get turned on by Riskin. No, Joe, don't say it ain't so. What is going on with Millenium right now? They're doing everything right, but as soon as they get to that crane, it's just not working for them.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it looks like HyperGames right now are just doing enough to, how do I say this? Defend the momentum from Millenium. I don't even know if that makes sense, but hey-ho, on with the day. Joe gonna snatch that drone yet again. Kataga offering cover in the round blue. Should be a simple one-pointer if Joe wants to go for it, but no, he's actually gonna go for that too. Is he gonna get stopped last-ditch? Oh,
No!
last-ditch kill there from
1-pointer.
Maxi, but you know, it looks like, yeah, that could be a big mistake, to be honest with you, because he was lined up for that one-pointer nice and easy. Rated is set up, though, on the relay. He's just gonna play slowly in and around this reset area using that AR, but it looks like he's gonna snatch the drone now. And if I was his shoes, I would probably just launch it into the HyperGames space and put some pressure on.
Not playing on the HyperGames team at the moment. Someone's not actually moving. I'm not sure who it is, whether they're lagging out or what. But it is Maxi?
Is it Maxi?
Might be.
Let's jump on board with Maxi. Is it Maxi? No, everyone's playing. Hang on, no.
Well, who's the blue triangle?
Tony
Tony?
JS.
So
Yeah,
Tony's not playing.
So Tony-
he's either lagged out or not playing.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Thank you very
They're
much.
still in the lead, though. It's
Yeah.
working. The best tactics ever.
And here we have Tony JS, who's making a fantastic play in round. Anyway, back on board with Malcolm. I'm going to go for a simple 1 point.
Oh, he's
he
missed
missed
it
it! Oh, and he gets 3v4, but it looks like Millenium are actually still
What are you doing?
trailing here. But Tony, once again, making a fantastic play in and around this orange
Anchoring
area.
these spawns right now, even though you can't really anchor them in uplink.
But Malka isn't around the drone. It's now pretty much all 4 dead here. Tony looks like he's not lagging out. I think he's just gone to get a bag of crisps or something. It should be a dunk here for Millenium. They're going to take the lead. It's going to be 3-2. But if it was 4v4, you'd have to say that HyperGames would probably be in the lead right now, and they'd have probably actually extended the lead. But right now, it keeps putting back on Tony. Damn Codcaster, come on. I don't want to watch Tony.
I was liking your David Attenborough impression there. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just fantastic. I've got a second career in line, but a simple 1-pointer here from Joe. And there we go. It looks like Millenium finally hit a 1-pointer there. Looks like Tony still isn't playing here.
He's going to have the longest lifetime out of anyone in this game so far. He hasn't died in ages.
Yeah, he's been alive for ages. He's doing so much for his team. But Joe, simple 1-pointer there. He's not going to make the same mistake again. 5-2, extend it. But, you know, if Tony comes back or decides to come back, the deficit is only 3. I mean, HyperGames could easily come back here, but yeah, Tony's not spawning back in any time soon.
He's not lagged out because he would have lagged out of the game at this point.
Yeah, I honestly think
he seems to have stopped playing.
He's probably just gone for a bag of crisps. So I'm not even joking you. Doritos, maybe?
Maybe his mum's come into his room and told him to keep the noise down. It's happened.
Tony,
it's happened to me before.
Tony, I've told you once, I'll tell you 1,000 times.
Internet off. What is it? It's 11 over there, so it's like 20 to 12.
Yeah.
Internet's off at 11.
Yeah. Welcome to the EU Pro League Season 2, casting by Trout and Ink. Top quality at all times. They've gone Jeremy Clarkson now. I do apologise. I'll jump on board with Tony Jess and see if he's actually come back.
You know, something tells me probably not. Maybe he's just like, okay, this is decent enough for us. I'm just going to take a chill right now. I don't even his teammate has no idea where he's gone right now.
Stomping on its head. HyperGames,
I'm
come
not sure
on,
if
man.
that's them trying to get the attention to stop the game, but
No, he's still anchoring spawns in around snow area. Veziok, now he's currently been pushing the soccer area with an AR. In all seriousness, there is only 3 points in it, so if Tony decides to come back anytime
if
soon...
they win this, it would be amazing.
If
I'd be impressed.
Well, if you're Millenium right now, you are probably like, sweet. No pressure on us really
They probably
at all.
don't even know yet.
Well, I'm pretty sure they should have some idea, to be fair. Tony still hasn't spawned back in. Risking, though. He's actually online to hit a 1-pointer here, so he's going to hit 1-pointer. Oh, no, he's missed it. Oh, it's gone slightly to the left there. So unlucky. Turns around and gets a beautiful punch, though, on Kataga. Drone still in play as well, but now the wrap around is on. Tony!
Oh, no, they
reset.
I was going to say, Tony, be the hero.
Now is your time, Tony.
Be the hero they need but don't deserve. Well, the legend of Tony JS.
Well, Riskin's just been absolutely destroyed there with those barrels, and as you can see, it looks like Millenium right now aren't really playing for those points too much. I think they're fairly content with keeping that lead at 3 and just playing for kills right now. Maxi, 13 and 17. If I was in his shoes, I'd be so frustrated right now. Played out of his mind all night, and his teammates just really haven't lived up to that. But saying that, Riskin, 17 and 17. Veziok, 16 and 15. So they're trying their best here to actually keep HyperGames in it, but you just can't do it 3v4, especially against
I like
a
the
team.
distraction.
Like, well, just taken out.
Wasted 2 stuns on him. Joe with a huge 3-piece.
Wow, and Rated hits the dunk, 7-2. This game is done and dusted.
We'll call it a 2.5 piece because Tony wasn't really moving, but still. Yeah. And he was double stunned, so even if he was there, he probably couldn't have done much about it.
I love the way, right, he's probably not there, but we're going to double stun him anyway. But Joe finally taken out. He was on a 6 streak, though, so it looks like he was starting to go in form. Rated's just received that pass. Should be a dunk here. Oh, he's going to eat those bullets there. 9-2, though. Another dunk. Lead is now over 7. Now, Tony... No.
Still not moving.
No, he's still
It's
still
all
up
right,
there.
Tony.
There we go. We just pretend that we haven't seen him. There we go. Joe's going to hit this 1 pointer nice and easy. He's going to run straight through that spawn. 10-2 deficit at 8. 4 dunks in it now. And, you know, I do apologize if you're looking at the stream and you're thinking, wow, these casters, they're not taking this seriously. But obviously we've had put up with a lot from HyperGames tonight, to be honest with you.
I think they finally realised that, Tony's not there.
No, I definitely think he's not there. He's 2-9, so he's averaged...
They're doing all right, to be fair. Like, if I was 3v4, this would have been a 20-0 straight off the bat.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it took them so long to actually get in the lead after he had disappeared. That was quite funny.
Well, Vezioc has now got the drone in his own base, and
Pass
he's
it
only...
to Tony. Tony's got this.
Yes! Yeah! Go on, Tony, son.
Do this, Tony.
While Tony's playing... Oh, he's back! Yeah!
Okay, apparently he just wanted the ball.
Yeah, there we go.
The ball gives him the life.
I'm not playing until you pass me the ball. Anyway, Tony's now been taken out. He's 2-10, so he's averaging around 0.25 kills per minute, which is a great statistic for him, risking the beautiful kill down eyes. In all seriousness, HyperGames, they've still got time to go back in this. They are on the better side. They're going to hit this 1 pointer. No, they're going to miss it again. A lot of missed 1 pointers in this game, it has to be said.
Tony's not playing again.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god, Tony, what are you doing?
Tony, come on.
Seriously, man. You've just shown your back.
You can't just get your team to go do the work for you. Go get the ball yourself.
I'm not playing until you pass. I said that out of a joke, but it looks like it could be serious.
Give me the ball. It's my ball.
Well, Tony could have stopped that kill there, but he's like, screw it. I'll let Rated have a free dunk. It's only fair. He's only on 4 uplinks. Let's put him on 6. And as you can see, now it's essentially all down for HyperGames. Actually, no, there's one left. Stun grenades come in. 12-2 in favor of Millenium. And there's not really much more to say, to be fair.
As much fun as we're making here, and as funny as it is, it's very, very, once again, disrespectful. Yeah,
100%. And the thing is, in the last game, we got very, very angry, and I think the stream was probably a little bit bored of us ranting about HyperGames being unprofessional, so I think we'll have some fun with it. So I do apologize if anyone in the stream is offended by us having a bit of a chuckle at the fact that Tony JS seems to only live when he's past the drone. Regardless, Rated, though, just dropped a 20 bomb on a 2 streak as well. Almost picked up the 3rd kill. Madcat, though, is on a Bloodthirsty, now on a 6 streak. Picked up the drone as well. Tony JS has been spotted, but Madcat's going to run straight past him. Great movement there from Madcat to sneak past Tony JS. He's going to hit another dunk as well. Score 14-2. 6 dunks in it. 12-point the deficit for HyperGames to reclaim in the space of 35 seconds. It would be a world record if they could do that. I don't think they are, though. Madcat, though, in all seriousness, on a 7 streak, 3 kills away from getting that merciless. Easy kill here, surely. Oh, destroyed there by Maxi. And now Gataga is on the drone in Bio. Should go for this 1 pointer. No, he's actually just going to run around Bio and just have a little bit of a chuckle. Yeah, he's just going to keep running around over and over. Throw this 1 pointer. Is that slightly to the right? Yes, slightly to the right there. Another missed 1 pointer. And arguably, if Millenium were up against a stronger side or a side that could be bothered to play, these 1 pointers or missed 1 pointers could cost them, because I think they've missed around 4 or 5 now.
Who, Millenium?
Yeah, Millenium.
Yeah, they have missed quite a few 1 pointers, actually. I mean, it doesn't look quite as... Maybe, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Maybe just having an off day on uplink. Your shack throws are just, your free throws are just not working for you. And
I suppose as well, if you know you're playing, 3v4, you're not going to try
I don't think they knew they were
hard.
playing 3v4 for a while, though. Like, they were still going for 1 pointers, even though they knew they were against 3 players. So who knows? Big shout out to Tony JS for the performance there. Incredible stuff, mate. Really glad you're involved in this Pro League. Yeah,
100%. Well, I'm trying to work out the maths right now, and I think he actually averaged 0.2 kills per minute, which is probably a record set for the Pro League. So spot on. Anyway, but in all seriousness, I'm looking at these kills. Madcat, though, dropping 28 kills on uplink, and obviously I know that Tony wasn't playing all that kind of stuff, but it's actually quite difficult to kill someone who's not playing with regards to their spawns, all that kind of stuff. You'd actually have to push straight into their spawn to pick up those easy kills. So 28 kills with only 3 moving targets, so to speak. That's not bad at all, but I think we're going to take a look at the fixtures for tomorrow.
Yeah,
so walk us through it.
As we said, this is obviously a super week. We're cramming quite a lot of Pro League into the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And tonight we've had the first set of fixtures for this Super Week. Tomorrow, obviously, we've got another set of them. We're going to be watching the Millenium Epsilon game. So I'm sorry if you were quite disappointed with tonight's display from HyperGames and you really want to see this new Millenium side. We picked this game with Millenium in because we knew it would be a hot topic for everyone to want to see. So we're going to be seeing that, as well as Epsilon, who actually lost to VWS tonight 4-2. So that's another team that's obviously going to be at the top end of the table. Obviously, we're going to be back in regular fashion for 2 more weeks after that on the Wednesdays. Obviously, we're going to be having more going on at the LAN event on the Saturday and I believe the Sunday. So how that's working is some teams will be playing 2 games on the Saturday, some teams will be playing 2 on the Sunday. So overall, we're going to have 12 games over that weekend period, and I believe myself and you are going to be at that, along with the regular EU casting lineup that you've become so accustomed to.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, 100%, and obviously there's a lot to look forward to on that front. But tomorrow, Millenium, Epsilon. Epsilon arguably need to win this game tomorrow to stay within touching distance. Well, I say touching distance, but stay within a chance, really, because if you drop 2 games straight away, you've essentially lost 6 points if they lose to Millenium tomorrow. And, you know, you can't really make that up unless Millenium and Infused and other team, well, mainly in Millenium and Infused, because it's been a long night. Millenium and Infused. Okay. So obviously, if Epsilon, as I said, if Epsilon lose, they could not only be 6 points behind Millenium, who they're up against, they could be 6 points behind Infused. And trying to catch up 2 teams who are 6 points in front of you, and you've just played one as well and lost 2, it's going to be pretty much, not impossible, but very, very difficult for you to get back into this. And right now, obviously, the table, how it will roughly stand, Millenium at the top alongside Infused, both winning 6-0 comfortably. Then Vitality and Epsilon losing 4-2, 4-2. Then I think was there one more game? Yeah, no, that was it. There's only 4 games tonight, isn't there? Yeah, there we go. Long night, people. So yeah, anything you want to say to?
Just that professionalism. Let's keep it.
What from us?
Yeah, we're not professional. We're just a bunch of slackers. But anyway, but professionalism, it is key to making this whole thing work, and that's all I will leave it there for. We'll be back tomorrow with Millenium versus Epsilon, 8 o'clock as we initially wanted to. We apologise for the lateness today. We had some trouble getting some updates done. We seem to always have some troubles getting some updates when it's going to Pro League. I apologise about that. Should be all fine from now on. Sometimes these updates just come out of the blue, and we have to get them updated.
Yeah, well, the thing is I think the Skyrise map in particular was worth the wait.
Yeah.
I mean, particularly from
I like
Maxi.
The DLC maps. I think, for me, the DLC maps, they look like they have been built to have some esports in. It's nice to see them because a lot of the built-in maps to the game feel like they're very similar in how the playstyle goes, and it feels like High Rise, especially for Search and Destroy, there is no other map like that where it's just that open, and it is almost a free-for-all on making picks, and it's not so favoured to the attacking team. So I'm liking it. I think that I would love to see what maps we're going to see tomorrow. I think you've played a couple of them.
I think we're going to be seeing Parliament Uplink tomorrow for the first time on stream as well.
It's going to be good. I'm excited. I might actually have to go and learn some of this stuff.
I'm going to go home, I'm going to play some pubs on the map, and I'm going to try and learn call-outs. It's not going to work.
I don't own the map, so I don't know how I'm
going to do it. But yeah, Parliament Uplink, once again, offer a completely different challenge to all these teams. And, you know, you've already touched on the fact that Skyrise or High-Rise or whatever, you know, offers something different. And that was because it enabled Maxi to just thrive off of the sniper play. Even Kataga was getting those first picks.
It's nice to see things different.
Yeah, we haven't had a map where it's that sniper dominated. We've seen it on Riot, arguably, but other than that, DLC map, Season 2, it's definitely improved it in my view, but teams are going to have to learn them sooner rather than later if they want to realistically challenge for the title or even stay in the league.
Who can adapt the quickest? I always say the best Call of Duty players are those who can get on a new game or a new map and learn it instantly and thrive off it. But as we said, we're going to wrap things up tonight. I hope you've enjoyed what we've had to show you tonight, even if it has been a little bit lackluster at times. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have an incredible showdown between Millenium and Epsilon. Live at 8 o'clock will be the game. Tune in tomorrow and we'll see you then.
You wanna rob my boner?
You